What is it?
It's time to go back. Welcome.
Hey, happy Halloween. So this is going to be coming out on October 31st, which is Halloween. So that means it's a bonus episode of Generation S, a podcast about growing up in the 90s and early 2000s. And today, we're talking mega show today, folks. I've got not one, but two fantastic guests with me today. And I'm a little nervous how this is all going to go down, but we're going to figure it out. So first, let me introduce a longtime contributor to the show, Mr. Lou Carnavale. Welcome back.
Good to be back, everybody.
And another multi-contributor, technically speaking, because he did an episode and then he did a follow-up guest list episode. So a two-time participant on the show, Mr. Dan Vorbeck.
How's everybody doing?
So we got to figure this out, guys, right away, because this is going to be chaotic, and obviously we've got two Dans on the show. So, Lou, I'm thinking maybe when you're talking to Dan Vorbeck, we go by last name. So you say Vorbeck, and then you say Kemp. That's pretty much how you address us in real life when we're hanging out anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's how most people addressed the friends in high school anyway, was last names.
Yeah. So I think we're good there.
That's true. That makes sense.
And folks, I'm going to be honest. We're kind of winging it today. We texted earlier and we're like, so do we want like show prep for this? Or we kind of just want to figure out as we go along? And so there is one thing we do have planned. So normally we have like a guest list episode. You're familiar with those by this point. Hopefully, if you've listened to any of the other previous episodes, where we have our guests curate and present a top 10 list of their choosing that pertains to the topic at hand. Today, I'm not even gonna like, what's the word? Drag it out, I guess. We've got two top 10 lists, one from Mr. Vorbeck and one from Mr. Carnavale, the top 10 tricks and the top 10 treats. So the top 10 treats, as you could probably guess, the top 10 Halloween candy of all time, in their opinion. And then the top 10 treats, which is, and excuse my language, going to be the top 10 shittiest candy that you got on Halloween of all time. Now, I honestly forgot who got which list. So, Dan Vorbeck, which one are you going with today?
I'm doing the worst,
okay,
in my humble opinion, but since I am a larger fella, I think you will value my opinion greatly.
100%. Yes, I absolutely will. And then Lou, so that leaves you with the top 10 treats, then the good candy.
Yeah, I kind of did a different take on it. It's not just candy, it's just top 10 treats that you could get.
Okay, perfect. So does that include pennies?
I can't disclose that yet.
Sorry. Okay. No, confident. That's fair.
That would. I'm going to tell you right now. Spoiler alert, that would have gone on my list,
but it didn't. So it's not on your list, though.
It didn't.
Okay. So that's an honorable mention. We'll just get that out of the way now.
You hand out pennies, you're getting your house egged.
That's fair.
That's the end of the game.
That's fair. Okay. All right. Well, then before we get to those lists, because I am excited to hear from both of you guys on those, before we do that, we're going to just kind of talk about Halloween for us growing up, because we're all the same age, right? We grew up in the same time period. I will say I am curious for both of you guys, because I know both of you guys went to the same school, and it was a Catholic school. So we're going to start with this. Was Halloween a thing in school for you guys? Lou?
No, I don't really recall it in high school.
So,
I think
so. You didn't no costumes or anything?
God, no. You definitely was not allowed to have any costumes. But even
Really?
just like doing anything, I think when you're in high school, you're at that weird age of you're not really dressing up, and if you are, you're kind of keeping it on the DL. Now this is called cosplay. Let's never do it. Do you dress up? No, I cosplay. It's the same thing. But high school, not so
All
much. Vorbeck, do you well anything? Because I don't.
No, in high school, absolutely not. Nobody dressed up for early Halloween, and if you dressed up, you wore like a skeleton T-shirt with a bag over your head kind of thing, and you egged people's houses and threw toilet paper. And
but you had to be in uniform at school, though. That still wasn't at school.
At school?
No. Okay.
I think we had a dress down day on the Friday of Halloween or something like that.
Okay.
So those people who did not go to Catholic school, obviously we had a uniform, and dress down days were these God sent heavenly days where you could wear a pair of jeans and a nice shirt.
Well, in Lou's case, you wore an NWO shirt and people thought you were in a gang.
No, that was middle
Right,
school.
There you go.
High school.
Oh, that was middle
by
school.
high school it was
They were a little
well
strict.
that and you weren't wearing. At least for me, I wasn't wearing wrestling T-shirts in high school on the dress down days.
That's fair.
Although I do remember the one, and Vorbeck, you might remember this because was probably in October when the Yankees were playing the Mets. We had a dress down day. We had a Subway Series dress down day. Do you remember that?
We did.
I remember that was a big
Subway's
thing for us too.
dress down day.
Yeah.
That's the only dress down day I remember.
Clearly, we're not getting that this
No,
year.
we are not. Let's not show up
No.
to the postseason.
No, that was rough, guys. You know, even if you're not a baseball fan, to see the Yankees just get swept by the Houston Astros. That's okay because my Atlanta Braves are out too. They got out even before then, so you know it's okay. We're going to go in with a Phillies Astros World Series that, quite frankly, no one's going to care about, so it's fine. Or you know what? I can count on one hand how many people I know that will actually probably watch it, you know, and actually be rooting for one team over the other. I mean, people might watch it, but I don't think anyone's going to.
It could be worse. We could all be Met fans and be like, at least we got to the postseason.
I mean, that's fair. That is fair.
As they dismantle their team next year, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
No. we won't.
So, well, listen, I'm happy to enlighten you guys then because I have two things to share with you as far as high school and Halloween and growing up. And obviously, not obviously, but I went to public school, so no uniforms. I did dress up every single year, including through high school. Like every year I wore a Halloween costume. No shame. No shame there. But again, it was encouraged. We also had a Halloween dance. Did you guys have like Halloween dance or no?
I don't recall.
We had a Halloween social event.
Oh, I have no
Was
idea.
there
This is
music
all
and
you.
rhythmic movement?
It was a dance,
Okay.
but it was a Halloween event because they didn't like the word dance because dancing implied, illegal narcotics and underage drinking and sex
Sin.
and things, according to the Catholics.
Well, listen, if you've seen Footloose, you can understand what something like that will do to a town.
Right.
So, you know. So, anyways, well, we had a
dancing's the acts of the devil.
There it is. So we had a Halloween dance. I dressed up every year. I was going to ask you then, so like, what was your favorite costume dressing up? But it sounds like y'all for most of your teen years didn't even acknowledge costumes. So, well, I guess I'll ask you then. So Lou, we'll start with you. How old were you when you stopped trick or treating and dressing up?
By trick or treating, do you mean like any type of attempt or like a serious attempt?
I'm talking like you actually were like, I'm excited to put an actual not like I'm trying to get loot. Like I'm trying to I want to actually participate in the entire thing.
I would say I think actually my best costume. My favorite costume was my last costume. I think it was my last costume. So I want to say October of 99. Jeez, Lord, I'm showing my age.
So 23 years
Yes,
ago.
I dressed as Al Snow from the WWF.
Oh, nice. Did you have the mannequin head and everything?
I did. And the thing is, this is before, well, I guess eBay was around 99, but before it was used by everybody. So no Amazon, no eBay. Al Snow, the wrestler, came out with the mannequin head. I couldn't find an actual mannequin head. The only thing I could find was the styrofoam heads.
Yeah, well, they did that. He used those in ECW.
Yeah, but that was meh. So I had to find, and this made it even creepier. I found like a mask. It was
Okay.
just a woman's face. So I put the mask, it was a hard plastic mask around the mannequin head. So it had the female face. And then I got
Did it have the blue eyeshadow and the pink lipstick?
Yes. Yo, you both
I've
have
seen-
seen it
they-
at my house.
They still make
Yeah.
they still make that mask though in stores.
That's really creepy.
It is.
And we just recently found that, and I was like, "What is
Yes.
this?"
Oh, you see, found it at Lou's
and then you
house?
explained it, and I was like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
still weird."
So so I put it together, and then I got a generic WWF like T-shirt, and I did the help me backwards on my head and stuff like that. And so that was cool.
Were you growing? Could you grow facial? You weren't allowed to grow
God,
facial hair
no.
in school, so you couldn't actually
All
rock a
private
beard.
school. If dancing
Because I
is
feel like you were in '99 able to grow a pretty good beard.
nah,
at,
it was starting to
13
come
years
in,
old.
but
Was
Yeah.
it? Okay.
but no.
I mean, because
If dancing was the devil, facial hair was Satan.
oh man,
Yeah. Could
Cool.
not have that. So that was
all
that
right,
was probably the last time I actually went out seeking.
okay, yeah,
It was probably, and it was also my favorite costume.
that sounds pretty awesome. All right, Vorbeck, what about you?
So probably the same year is when I stopped dressing up. It's kind of like 8th grade, just before freshman year.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the little last ditch effort at being a child and trying to be Halloween until, you turn 30 and you're like, I want to be kind of a kid again.
Yeah.
But I dressed up as Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's good.
nice.
Now, my mom used to make a lot of my costumes, and she got me an actual leather jacket and an actual bullwhip. So, like, a real life,
Yeah.
you would use on animals bullwhip.
Did you actually learn how to use it?
100%. I
Okay.
I almost took my eye out 100 times, and I was whipping people on the street, and I had a great time.
That's
It was
amazing.
a lot of fun.
Do you still have the whip?
No, it was confiscated probably within about an hour of me having it.
He didn't actually take it trick or treat. He probably went out to the front of his house,
Oh my god.
tried to whip some people, and his mom's like, "No, we're done. We're done with this."
Then my dad got some twine.
Yeah.
And hooked that on my, and I was like, oh, this isn't funny.
Oh.
But it was a great costume.
Nice.
And it's obviously one of my favorite movies. And I had a good time.
See, I didn't know that was one of your favorites because we always talk like Star Wars and Marvel and all that stuff, but I didn't realize. So Indiana Jones, huh? That's awesome.
Indiana Jones. Love Indiana Jones.
I've only
I
seen.
actually wanted to be an archaeologist
Oh, really?
because of that movie. And then I realized it involved a lot of reading, and I was like, probably.
Yeah, there's less trouncing through the jungle and making people's faces melt, and it's a lot of reading. Yeah, I think that's most. You think about it, that's most dream jobs for people. I want to be a lawyer. Well, you're gonna have to read a lot of books. I want to be a doctor. That's a lot of studying. Like anything that's like a dream job, you got to do a lot of work for. And once you realize that, you're like, I want to be an astronaut. Well, you better be in amazing shape and be a math genius. Otherwise, you're done. So. Anyway, so all right, well that's awesome. Yeah, so like I said, I dressed up every year. I stopped trick-or-treating probably 8th grade as well, now that I think about it. I think I was just going into high school, and the last year I went trick-or-treating, I actually dressed as it was the Crow, the movie The Crow.
So emo.
The one, I know, right? I loved it. I thought, well, and that's the thing, because Sting was always my favorite wrestler, and I couldn't do the Sting face paint; it was way too complex. But the Crow was just the straight lines down on the eyes, so it's so much easier to do. So I'm like, I can do this myself. This is super easy. So, but I think I did it where half of it was black or white, and half of it was red. So I had like some sort of Sting inspiration. And I remember my teacher, because I wore it to school. And I think it was either a teacher or it was like an upperclassman was like, what are you supposed to be, the ace of spades? I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, get out of here. You're just, So anyway, I remember that. I remember one year, I think the following year, I went as Special Officer Doofy from Scary Movie, which you could not get away with doing now, by the way, for a multitude of reasons.
Honestly, I don't think you get away with dressing as a crow.
Well, no, not the bird. It was the face paint.
No, yeah, but like if you wore like a long leather jacket.
Oh, well, yeah, that's fair.
Black and stuff like that.
In this day and age, that's probably not the smartest thing to wear. Either.
Or imagine me dressing up as Al Snow with a woman's mannequin head that looks like she's decapitated, carrying it around. I feel like
that's even less scary in today's society than somebody in a trench coat or, acting like a mentally challenged person. I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, so all right, so that's when y'all stopped. Did you? So I briefly asked you. So y'all didn't really have any Halloween dances then. You had social events, but it wasn't like a thing where like you went and danced.
No, honestly, I think they did it like twice.
Okay,
during our entire high school thing, and
didn't
go over
so much missing out.
10 people would show up.
So. All right, so after trick-or-treating was done then, let's, you're old enough to where, okay, trick-or-treating is out, but Halloween's still awesome, right? So for you guys, Lou, again, we'll start with you. Like, what's something you looked forward to for Halloween after trick-or-treating was like you were too old for that?
That I was too old for?
Well, no, like after trick-or-treating was done and you were like, okay, well, Halloween's still awesome. So what are some other things that you associated with Halloween, like in your high school years? Did you do anything else? Like, did you go to parties or things like that?
I mean, we would go out. I remember going to hockey games, like for Halloween themed night. That was fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we would do that, and you go out and get dinner afterwards. And obviously, you can't drink yet, but that was the extent of like the Halloween party, because you would go to the game at the Coliseum, and you were close enough that you could either A, get a taxi, or B, convince your parents to drop you off. So that was the party. I did that a couple years.
What does Halloween themed mean for a hockey game? Like, do they wear special jerseys or?
Not really. Yeah, it would be great if the Islanders went trick or treat, had a Halloween event. They wore other teams' jerseys, so maybe they would be playing as a different team.
Maybe it inspired them.
Probably during that era, definitely. It was not so much the team, but like the giveaways were Halloween themed, or
Oh, nice.
if you dressed up. I mean, I don't think you could dress up going to a game now, but then you could.
You can't even walk in with a purse in a game.
No,
now.
you
You have
can't.
to wear a clear bag, and so forget.
Yeah,
dressing
so
up,
you
man.
got to
Come on.
dress up going to the game, and like the T-shirt launcher, like probably the T-shirt was orange instead of blue and had a pumpkin logo or something like that. And then after the game, we used to go to Miller's Ale House if it was called it.
Love
if
that
it was
place.
called it, that location, it was in Levittown. Anybody listening from Long Island, but I can't remember what it was called back then. But in that area by the Coliseum, there was a bunch of like, bar and grills, and they had the same thing, giveaways, and come with your costume on, things of that nature, so on and so forth. Towards the end, like when you got to be a senior, that's when the house parties really started.
Yeah.
And then you had the people that had the semi-normal ones, and then the ones that just like way too much, way too quick, and you're never having a party ever again because there's no way you're going to clean all this up without your parents knowing.
That's fair. Yeah. I never had those kind of house parties. A, because my parents never went anywhere. But B, I just didn't. This sounds so. I didn't really have any friends. Like, I feel like nobody
you
would
have
actually
us
gone
now.
Wow, that's sad.
Well, I know I do. But back then, man, yeah. Plus, I was kind of like, I never would have had, like, as you put it, one of those parties because I was always kind of straight edge. Like, I always would judge the kids that were playing beer pong their senior year of high school. Looking back, I'm like, I guess it's not so bad,
I guess we wouldn't have been friends then.
Oh no! Well, I mean, listen, I would have just judged you. Yeah, you know what I mean. But who knows? You guys were cool enough to where maybe you could have convinced me that just because we throw back a couple of, I guess would have been wine coolers and Keystones,
Coolers.
Smeared
off,
little natty ice and Smirnoff action.
Yeah.
Or what do they have now?
Twisted
What
tea.
I would say, did they have Twisted Teas back then? I feel like that's a newer thing.
It's White Claws now.
Well,
White Claws
now it's
is the
White
now-
Claws. That's White Claws and vape pens, and you can literally dress as a high schooler from 2022. That's like it's a perfect.
and then had to
costume.
go hide in the corner because you have so much anxiety from just everything.
Oh boy. So anyway, Vorbeck, for you, after trick or treating, what else did you have to look forward to every year for Halloween? Like, what was your thing?
So luckily, I had 3 older cousins.
Okay.
Still do. And my one cousin Natalie loved costumes and dressing up and stuff like that. So she would have a party every year in the city. So I would get picked up by one of my cousins and I'd go into the city and get dressed up as, I don't know, something random.
So you still wore
And
costumes to the party. You would dress up.
She insisted.
Yeah,
yes.
well, yeah.
And they weren't very good, but we would go and my cousins would feed me Polish vodka all night.
Polish vodka at 17?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
absolutely.
gosh.
And I'd get home completely wrecked at like 4 a.m, stumble to my room, and my parents would just be like, all right, you know what?
And
He
he's
was
home safe.
That's all that matters. And he's home safe.
So, it's funny because all of a sudden hearing that story, your Thor tattoo makes so much more sense now.
Doesn't it?
Because I'm thinking, man, you're tanked at 16 years old on Polish vodka. Yeah, I'd feel like the God of Thunder. I mean, hell,
Polish vodka and Belgian beer.
My God.
It's great,
You know-
still drink it to this day.
Yeah, well, and as I say, I know you weren't rocking the beard back then because of the school and everything like that. But man, can you?
No.
That's if I had, even now, like I've got my beard now, but when I grow it out and I feel any kind of buzz from like beer or whatever, I just feel like, oof, you feel powerful. We're all 3 bearded, so we can all relate to this. Like when you are inebriated with a beard, you just feel like you have that extra level of, I don't even know what you'd call Paul Bunyanism
It's like having a
or something.
mustache
I
in the
don't know.
70s.
True.
Yeah.
And the longer the beard gets, the more that feeling becomes.
It's
even
true. I
truer.
can't ever get my beard to go that long though. Like,
and mine, it's a little curly right now, but when it's pretty much down to my chest.
Yeah.
When I straighten it out,
oh, good times. Yeah.
it's great.
It took me a long time to be able to grow my beard, but it's here. So anyway, all right. So that's pretty cool. And so for me, I mentioned that I would dress up for school every year. Obviously I stopped trick or treating around the same time you guys did. So for me, I think maybe I went to 1 or 2 Halloween parties. Again, I didn't hang out with the kind of kids that would have like those kinds of parties. But I do remember, and this is something I want to talk about with you guys, is, I always looked forward to, all the scary movies that were on TV, right? That was a big thing for me. I've always loved fall, like the fall season. I think it's great. I love the fact that summer's kind of cooling off. I love the turning of the leaves. That's, big thing for me. And we're just starting to get that here in Georgia now, where it's, just beautiful orange leaves. Although we had a cold snap the other day, and so most of them just fell off and the trees are dead. But it was nice for
dormant, not dead.
Dormant. You're right, correct. But the 3 hours was fantastic, being able to watch them turn and fall. So anyway, like I said, I always love the fall season. I love the fact that you got to put on a sweater, maybe you sit out by a bonfire, whatever. But part of that, again, was the scary movies. And so I want to talk about that with you guys. Vorbeck, I know you're a big horror movie fan. Lou, I know you're the total opposite of a horror movie fan. But I want to start with you because it'll either be a very short conversation or I'm going to learn about you a lot about you that I didn't think I knew. Let's do it. Yeah. So scary movies. Where do you fall on that spectrum now? And where did you fall on them back then?
0 and 0. So I'm done. But can I circle back to another thing you asked me? Because you said you were asking me like when trick-or-treating stopped.
Yeah.
What did you still have going on? And when you mentioned the fall and autumn and the leaves changing, World Series.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Because when all this happened, like you kind of stopped. Trick-or-treating was like 99 or 2000 or just late 90s in general. At least Metro New York, that's the Yankee dynasty was happening.
I was going to say, you still had a really good team to root for those couple of years. I think
96 to 03.
Was it 03? Because I feel like
03 they made it to the World Series.
In 01, right?
Yeah, they lost. Well, yeah, they lost in 01, but they went back to the World Series in 03. So 03 was the last hurrah of that team until a couple years later. But 96 to 03, every October, it was to the World Series, in the World Series, or winning the World Series. So that may have been also why I kind of got pulled out from trick-or-treating. So
yeah,
it just hit me when you mentioned all the colors, and because I associate the leaves changing with the World Series. I don't know. I mean, I do know why, but it just kind of hit me when you said that. Scary movies, I'm not a scary movie guy.
You're not.
Never
I've always tried
been.
watching them with you, and you never want to.
I've tried.
Yeah, I just don't do it. I could do the ghost adventures. I can do the real hauntings and stuff like that and go to them and walk through them, but I don't like the jump scares in the movies. I don't like the jump scares at Six Flags or the haunted hay rides, and just
so it's not the scary, it's the jump scares. Like, let me ask you this. As far as fictional movies, could you watch a movie with no jump scares but be scary? Like one of my scariest movies to this day, like it shook me to my core as an adult, was Paranormal Activity, which came out in 2011.
Actually, you know what? That's probably the closest thing I've ever watched to a horror movie. And I watched
that is a horror movie. That is a horror movie.
It's considered,
It's not a jump scare movie, but it's scared the hell out of me.
I guess that would be it then. That's the only real, real horror movie I've watched, because I don't like to watch. Here's the thing: I can't enjoy watching Friday the 13th or Halloween or something like that because somebody's getting. Why would you want to watch somebody suffer and this and that? And it's fake. Oh. Yeah, Terry Funk versus Sabu and barbed wire. Sure, no problem. Let's watch it. Oh, he sliced his arm halfway off. Yeah, hey, it's really hurt.
That's okay, because it's real.
Put some crazy glue on it, and Sabu will be fine. That's no problem.
Complexed man.
I am.
It's true. I'll never understand that reversal of.
But it's
20 years. I still don't get it.
It's true though. It's that stuff. Okay, I guess. I mean, everybody is different, but yeah, horror movies, Paranormal Activity is the closest I've gone.
No, that counts. You absolutely.
Okay, so there we go. So now I can have an answer. What's your favorite horror movie? It's Paranormal Activity. Don't ask me what number. I just say it overall.
Well, the first 2 or 3 are the best. Then they get weird.
How many did they make?
They made 6.
5.
No, they made 6.
6?
Yeah,
6.
Oh, right, the new one. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, it was terrible. You're not missing much. Anyway, all right, Vorbeck, you obviously we've talked about this offline. You are a huge horror movie fan. So, what are some scary movies that you associate, particularly with your childhood and maybe watching around Halloween time?
The first horror movie I ever watched was Child's Play.
Oh, yeah.
There's a story associated with this movie as well. So my babysitter comes over and, I'm 6 maybe at the time. And she's talking to her boyfriend, and there's a movie comes on called Child's Play. Everybody knows that movie. It's the little doll that's named Chucky that goes around and murders people. She's not paying attention. I watch this movie. I'm terrified and scarred for life. But the scariest part was that I had a doll that looked exactly like Chucky that sat on a chair in my room. And I watched that movie, and I stayed up most of the night with my back against the wall with my Power Rangers blaster in my hand, thinking this doll was going to come to life and that this plastic blaster was going to save me. So I threw it out. I put it in the trash and threw it out, ran back to bed, eventually fell asleep with my blaster in my hand. Mom found it in the morning before I woke up. She goes, "Oh, why is this here?" It's back on the chair. I wake up, see the doll on the chair, and freak out.
Oh my God.
Crying,
Yeah.
sobbing, running to my mom. Doll's going to kill me. She learns that I watched this movie, and my babysitter was speaking to the wrath of my mother.
I was going to say, did,
But,
did she ever sit for you again?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Because she was great, and she was like the only one available. So she ended up babysitting again, but she paid a lot more attention.
Yeah.
But I watched a lot of scary movies after that, like Leprechaun. But some of my favorites,
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
Always a solid nightmare.
So far I'm hearing like slashers. That's like your genre for horror. then.
Slashers are good. But there was one, I know it's not from the 90s, but there's one recently that kind of got me. It's The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Oh, I never saw that. You told me about that,
is-
though.
That is a creepy movie.
Yeah.
That is a creepy movie.
Are there?
You should watch
I was
it
going to say,
because
are
it's
there?
not a
There's no
scare.
jump scares. Lou, you can totally
jump
watch that
scares.
show or movie.
Yeah,
And
I'll pass. Thank you.
What, no, well, we're gonna watch it together anyway one day. But it's a great movie. But slashers were always some of my favorites. And then, of course, I don't know if they're considered horror, but the Alien movies.
Oh, absolutely. The first one especially is a horror.
They
movie.
are, right?
Yeah.
So Aliens,
Yep.
Alien 3, not so much. And then they get goofy after that. But the first two Alien movies were great. I could watch them for days and days on end.
So again, not pertaining to childhood, but in my adulthood, I don't know if I've told you this, but every October, at least for, I think I went on like a 6 or 7 year streak of this, I would pick a horror movie franchise, and I would watch through all of them throughout the month of October. So, and it was the slasher. So I think I started with Friday the 13th. No, I started with Child's Play, because that was one of the first movies I saw as a kid. And I'll tell you about that in a second. And then it was Friday the 13th, and then Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. And then I switched, I pivoted, I went over to Paranormal Activity. And then I think I actually did stop after that. I ended up ordering, no. Then the following year was the Saw movies. So I watched all the Saw movies. Love those.
They're good for the first couple, and then after that,
I love all. I don't even care. I unabashedly
All right.
love that
That's fine.
franchise. I love the
Everybody's
twists.
got their
I
thing.
love the terrible acting. I love the fact that it looks like it was shot in somebody's garage.
So I did a college thesis on those horror movies.
On the
Like
Saw movies?
because they were really either just coming out or really gaining the momentum in like 2009 when we were getting ready to graduate from college.
That's right. Yeah, they had like 2 or 3 out at that point.
Yeah.
Did you
And,
watch them though?
no, God, no. I just read about them.
So how'd you do a thesis on movies you've never seen?
Because the question was, so now, especially Dan, now that you have kids.
Me. Not
Yes.
Borbeck. Kemp.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Dan Kemp.
Yes.
So a horror movie where the girl gets cut up and butchered and so on and so forth. Lou doesn't need to know all the details. Is rated R, but sexual intercourse is no. You can't see that. A nipple is nope. Can't show a nipple on TV. Can't show a nipple in the movies. Can't do this. Can't do that. You're a parent, and your child is 14, 15 years old. You walk in the bedroom, and what would you rather them be watching? A movie where a girl is being butchered and killed graphically and disgusting, or two people having normal sex?
It's not a thing anymore.
That's why I kept saying normal.
So I'm saying normal's not a thing anymore.
I mean, if you're going to put me on the spot, I mean, obviously, I think it would have to be the intercourse if I had to choose. I mean,
Yeah.
How old is this child in this hypothetical situation?
I think I picked 16 years old.
Okay, because I was going to say my 7-year-old's not going anywhere near.
No.
either of those things.
I like 16 years old. Obviously, they're going to know what it is. They're especially now.
Okay.
They're definitely going to see what's going on by 16. It's like, oh, okay, well, they're doing eventually what I'm going to do.
Now, fortunately for you, Lou, in most of those slasher movies, you get both bangs for your buck on those. You know?
I know.
I
know.
was waiting for it, but absolutely,
Except
you
for
get both.
except the Saw movies. I don't know if that was where you were going with that, but there's none of that sexual nonsense in
Well,
the
now
Saw
I know
movies.
to not even be bothering with Saw. Let's be serious.
Oh man, so that was a tangent. So anyway, so what was this? Okay, so franchises every year. Anyway, going back to so early on, yeah, as a kid, I definitely watched. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna confess, like the movies I associate Halloween wise with my childhood are actually not scary. At least during October. The only Halloween movie I ever remember watching during October was the original Pet Sematary, and I watched it on Halloween night after trick-or-treating, so I guess I was still in middle school.
That's a scary movie.
It is.
That is a scary. The original one is scary.
It's scary. Well, now as a parent, it's even scarier because, I mean, the whole thing is the guy's kid dies and you want to bring him back. I'm like, well, hell, what would I do as a parent now? You know what I mean? So, like, you look at it very differently. But anyway, so I watched that, but honestly, most of the movies that I saw as a kid, and this may have been an unfair question because I didn't give you the chance to answer these as well, but like Hocus Pocus, one of my favorite Halloween movies as a kid.
So non-horror
Halloween movies. So I guess we'll come back around and I'll be curious if you had any of those. But Halloween Town from the Disney Channel is a classic if you've never seen it. And my sister-in-law, who I don't think is ever going to listen to this podcast, so it's all good. She and I will watch that sometime. Well, Hocus Pocus we watch every year, and we just watched the new one that came out. We actually had a Hocus Pocus party.
What did you think of it?
You know what? I loved it for what it was. You know,
wow, you're like the first person I've heard that
really
actually liked it.
I've heard all my friends down here love it.
My cousin hated it.
I didn't think it was bad.
Really?
Yeah,
my cousin hated it. Yeah, I got negative feedback.
No,
everybody hates everything.
For a sequel to a 30-year-old movie, I think they did okay. You know,
exactly.
It was enough callbacks to appreciate it, and the story was pretty easy to follow. It wasn't dumb. Like it was simple and it was a little hokey, but it's a family movie. It's always been a family movie.
It was hokey pokies.
It was hokies pokies. Yes,
I see what you did there. That was terrible.
That was,
but I'm going to say this about movies in general now, is that I don't listen to reviews anymore. Ever.
No.
Because everybody hates everything.
What
true. I do is I go and watch the movie for myself, and then I make up my own mind.
Yeah.
Do it with video games and movies. I don't listen to reviews because nobody likes anything.
The only reviews I'll listen to legit is like if it's a friend of mine, right? If
That's
somebody who knows what I would like and says, would I like this? Yeah, you'd love this. You should check it out. But that's not real. I guess it's word of mouth. I don't know what you call that. But yeah, as far as
I mean, like professional reviewers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't listen to them.
No, I agree because I've definitely seen some movies myself recently where I'm like, yeah, it was pretty good, and like I go on Reddit just to see the discussion thread for it, and they're like ripping it apart, and I'm like, oh, I almost feel bad for liking it now. I'm going to get off Reddit. You know, it just, so I don't need that kind of invalidation in my life. All right. So anyway, so those are some of my childhood movies that like, for me, like that's Halloween, right? Vorbeck, what about you?
So like
non-horror, like
Halloween.
it could even be like an animated special or something that you just remember watching as a kid.
The Charlie Brown.
Oh yes,
the pumpkin. What is it?
The Great Pumpkin.
The Great Pumpkin.
Yeah.
The Great Pumpkin. There we go.
Which is not on
that
TV
one,
for the first time in years, I think.
Well, it's not being broadcast.
You gotta watch that.
It's streaming.
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a fantastic question for this. Is that a Halloween movie or is it a Christmas movie?
Yes.
There it is.
It's neither. It's crap.
What?
I don't like it. I just don't get it. Okay.
What do you mean you don't get it?
How do you not get it?
It's about the land of Halloween, and then the head of the land of Halloween sees Christmas and tries to bring joy to people, but doesn't really work out so well.
Because he's having a midlife crisis. I mean, it's a perfect coming of age story.
You should watch it now.
I did. I tried to.
As a midlife person.
I've tried to watch it. I've watched it the last 2 or 3 years, and every time I watch it, I just go, eh. I mean, here's the thing. I get it. I should rephrase that. Me saying it's crap or I don't get it is just me being me. Stupid. But
that's fair.
Yeah, it is fair. And it's honest, too.
It's honest, yeah.
I know I could see why people like it.
Okay.
I understand why people like it. I just can't get into it.
It's not checking those boxes for you personally.
You don't have to like it.
No. Can you at least agree? I like it. Can you agree that the soundtrack is banging?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the soundtrack.
One of my favorites. I will still listen to that. I will we'll be cooking dinner and we're eating dinner with the kids, and especially this time of year, you know, I'll shout out the Echo, my Amazon Echo out there, and be like, play the Nightmare on Elm Street or Nightmare. Excuse me. Oh, no, that'd be bad. The Nightmare Before Christmas. Soundtrack, right? No, and so we'll listen to the whole thing. I know when Beth takes the kids to school in the morning, they're blaring that album this time of year. So no, that soundtrack is
album
the bomb. Sorry, it's album. What's the difference?
Is that Is that the This Is Halloween?
Yes,
This
that's
is...
the first song
that's it.
on the album, and then it just goes through the entire thing. And honestly, even if you don't watch the movie, the soundtrack tells the story pretty well. As far
That's
as
true.
you can pretty much piece it together.
There's a guy that I found. His name is Jonathan Franks.
Yep.
Or no, Jonathan Young, and he does metal versions of songs. And his Nightmare Before Christmas is.
I downloaded.
great.
I think he's the guy I found on iTunes that has a metal album of Disney villain songs.
Yep, that's him too.
Yeah.
He does a lot of Disney covers as metal songs. They're amazing.
It
They're
is
also good.
incredible. All right, so we talked Halloween movies, scary movies, whatever. I mean, what else do you guys want to cover before we get into the tricks and treats?
Ghostbusters. How could you not say Ghostbusters?
So do you consider Ghostbusters a Halloween movie?
Yes, you're hunting ghosts and goblins, so...
Yeah, but not during
So it
October.
takes place during summer.
Yeah.
No, it's not during summer. They have jackets on and whatnot, so it's definitely in the fall.
I'm thinking spring.
Yeah.
No, I you know what's funny? I saying no
Oh
because
no, he's right. It is.
Oh,
in
it
the
is
fall.
actually in the
I
fall?
see the leaves changing.
I
In the
just
back of some scenes.
the leaves are changing, and I literally just watched it before we came on. And
Surprise.
when they're going, I didn't plan on it. It was just on TV. I swear. When they're going to the see the mayor, they have a banner about street cleaning, October date through November date. There you go.
Okay.
It's taking place in the fall.
Well, I don't consider it. I mean, it could be a Halloween movie, but it's so good to watch any time of the year that
Like Die Hard being a Christmas movie.
like Die Hard. It is a Christmas movie, no matter what Bruce Willis says.
All right. Well, listen, before we get to the lists, I do have one final question for you. So, Lou, you may have already answered this because you had a pretty good answer earlier, but your favorite costume that you ever wore, ever, as far as childhood, like childhood through, high school. Lou, we'll start with you. Would you say Al Snow is top the charts for you, or is there any other
Probably
costumes?
probably the Al Snow, because it was different, it was unique, but not that weird, especially for that time period that, people are like, what the hell is this guy wearing? I mean, the people that was knocking on the doors may have had, or probably had no idea, but my friends thought it was fantastic. Other than that, I remember I was a Ninja Turtle when I was really young.
That's pretty awesome.
I
Yeah.
remember seeing the Polaroid
I
of
was
that.
too.
And then also, I had to have been a Power Ranger one year. I'm fairly certain I was the Red Ranger.
I never dressed as a Ranger. I always loved Power Rangers, but I never dressed as a Power. I think, and honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know if I ever even dressed as a Ninja Turtle for Halloween. I don't think I had
like, why you don't dress as a Ninja Turtle for Halloween?
why.
He dresses like a Ninja Turtle throughout the year.
It's true. I have a lot of Ninja Turtles t-shirts. That's fair.
As an actual turtle, though.
Yes, exactly.
The full get up and the weapons. So he just wears the headband and the weapons to bed. That's it.
All right. So Vorbeck, what about you?
Elvis.
Really?
When was that?
My mom made me an Elvis costume, and I probably was 6th or 7th grade, and she made it out of white leather and like the bedazzled jewel.
Oh, nice.
thing.
The
And
rhinestones
she
or whatever.
had, like rhinestones on it and stuff like that. We dyed my hair black and like did it up, and I had like a little ukulele and stuff like that. I was really into his music, and back then, and I dressed as Elvis, and I think I won a competition.
That's amazing.
Like I got a bag of candy for it or whatever, but
Ooh,
it
piece
was
of
a really,
candy.
really good, really good costume. I'm sure there's a picture of me floating around somewhere.
I actually won a costume contest one year at the mall. Oh my God. We didn't even talk about trick-or-treating at the mall. Okay, let's get to that in a sec, because I do want to talk about
I
that.
didn't.
You
never
didn't do it?
that.
Okay, so there's not much to
I
say.
didn't know it existed.
Did you trick-or-treat at the mall, Vorbeck?
No.
You never did?
No, because I live on Long Island in Nassau County, and there's 800 houses in my neighborhood.
That's true.
So
I
you
remember-
didn't really need to
So
go far.
I think my best Halloween experience then, if I may, was in 6th grade, and I had a girlfriend, which was really cool. It wasn't really anything. She was in 4th grade, so I was getting chastised for dating a 4th grader in 6th grade. But anyway, so her parents took us to see. This was actually awesome. Remember that whole Halloween, because they took us. Again, we were 9 and 11. They took us to see Bride of Chucky in the movie theater, because I had won tickets through this Halloween costume contest that I won at the mall. So what I did, I'm sorry, the Brown Chucky came afterwards. So for Halloween, they took us trick-or-treating in 4 or 5 neighborhoods. I got a pillow sack that year instead of just a regular little bucket.
Oh, he's getting older. He's getting the pillowcase out.
I got the pillowcase. Well, they said, like, I never did it before, and I never knew it was a thing. And, like, her parents, my girlfriend at the time's parents, were like, oh, you got to get the pillowcase. I'm like, that sounds amazing. So my mom let me bring a pillowcase. I think it was purple because she's like, well, you're going to, Anyway, I was a vampire that year. So, I mean, it was like the most basic costume, but I was a vampire. And we went trick-or-treating at all these houses, and then we went trick-or-treating at the mall. And a radio station, I don't know which one, probably one that I ended up working at one day, was doing a Halloween costume contest. And so I entered in, and I won first place for my age group. I was just a vampire, and I wasn't even that good looking of a vampire. It was just vampire. So, but I won a whole, I remember I had the basket for the toys and candy that was stored in, and I kept that basket on my shelf until I moved out of my parents' house. Like, it just would hold things like toiletries or whatever, because it was a nice little basket. But I remember that was the year, whatever, don't laugh. Shut up.
You sound like a dad now. Yeah, I held toiletries in it. It was great. It was a great...
Listen, man.
It was a great basket. It was multi-purpose.
I still have this basket to this day. I had to walk 9 miles uphill to get this basket.
Dad,
had
can we get rid of this
handles.
basket? No, it's good. You could use it for a lot of things.
It has sentimental value.
Yeah. When you're done with your toys and you grow out of toys, you can use it for your toiletries. And when you're done with your toiletries, you can put your kids' toys in it.
Oh, man. So anyway, so that was probably my favorite Halloween experience, because we also went to several houses and that had the full-size candy bars, So... But we're going to talk more about trick-or-treating here in a minute, obviously. Before
I got a question for you.
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't mind.
No, of course.
Because you were asking about movies that you think of when you were thinking about Halloween. And then you mentioned your movie marathon, which I remember, but I forgot, but now I remember again. What about video games? Any video games that kind of go with that time period?
So I know now, like,
I do that. I do a marathon like you do with the movies.
See, I don't remember associating like certain video games that I only played at Halloween or that reminded me. Now, there were like scary video games, but I don't think back then, like, I don't think I like would be like, oh, I got to play this in October or whatever. Because I do that now, though. Like, I've got kids I've got kids, but I've got games that I play with my kids that are Halloween themed. Like, we're playing a game right now from like 10 years ago called Costume Quest on the Xbox. And it's very fun, by the way. It's like a basic, you're trick-or-treating and you're fighting monsters. It's like super cool. The kids love it. I played one last year called Pumpkin Jack on the Nintendo Switch, which is like an old school, very like a third person, like a platformer type game where you go and collect items and you fight bad guys and you just get to the end of the stage. So, I do that now, but honestly, I feel like for me anyway, and I'm curious as to what you've got in store for this. I didn't remember playing any like Halloween themed games during like that time period, that calendar part of the year. So what do you have in mind?
Well, when I was in high school, we had Mario Party 2, just 2. Now they're up to God knows what number.
10.
Oh, yeah, not as bad as I thought. So there's almost
is it 11 now? Because the one that just came out, but it was technically a best of almost, or wasn't anything new.
No, I think it's still 10.
Was that 10? Okay, never mind.
More Mario parties or more Paranormal Activity movies?
Oh, there's more Mario parties at this point.
More Mario everything.
Yeah, more Mario.
That's true.
Mario everything.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. There was a Mario Party 2. You had little outfits when you selected a map, and there was a map you dressed as like a wizard or something like that. So I remember playing that, specifically picking that map during the Halloween time of the year. Not the same thing was you, Kemp. Nothing back in the day that, oh, it's Halloween, I need to do this now. But the last couple of years I have.
Yeah.
Because maybe 2 years ago I started it. Got Mortal Kombat on PS4. So I just went through. I'm like, I'm going to play this one. I'm going to go backwards.
I guess that's kind of a horror-ish. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you're ripping people's arms and heads off. So
yeah, but it's in the heat of battle, not sneaking up and scaring people to do it.
What about the Friday the 13th game?
I was going to say, well, and ironically enough, Jason was in Mortal Kombat X along with Leatherface and the alien. Yeah,
did I say Leatherhead? Is it Leatherhead or
it's
Leatherface?
Leatherhead is the alligator from Ninja Turtles. Leatherface is the psychotic Texan with the chainsaw.
That's how much horror movies I watch.
I'm gonna test your knowledge of video games here. Because during the Halloween season, I used to play a game called The Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver.
Love that game.
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't remember playing it at
love that
Halloween,
game.
but my sister's boyfriend introduced me to that game, and that blew. It was the same company that made Tomb Raider. I found out later.
Yep.
But oh my god, just about vampires and oh yeah, such a good game.
And now I play Dead Space.
See, I've never played the Dead Space games before.
They're amazing games. They're some of my favorite games of all time, and you got to play them. There's 3 of them. You just got to.
And then they're remaking the first one, right?
They're remaking the first one. I've already got it pre-ordered, and they're great. They're great. They got a lot of jump scares.
I was gonna say, Lou, have you
them.
played Dead Space? Well, you shouldn't.
I have not. It's on my list because I trust it. I trust Vorbeck now because he was telling me to play BioShock for years
That's
and
actually
years
a really
and
good,
years.
scary game too.
And that's
Yeah,
close.
it's a lot.
I mean, I
Is that
wouldn't say
considered
like
like
it's
a
like a
light
Halloween
horror
level
game?
horror, but I would say it's like a. What I like about it, it's kind of like a mystery almost.
Dystopian, I would call
I guess like a dystopian mystery horror because like there's bad stuff that happens. So no, I guess you could call it like a almost like a gothic horror type of vibe. You know what it reminds me of is like Agatha Christie mysteries or whatever. Like those were kind of always scary to me as a kid. If you ever read, you're looking at me like I'm crazy. Anyway, old author from like the 1800s or 1900s that wrote like mystery stuff and.
I know who she is, but I've never read them.
Oh, anyway, so they're like there's one I forget what I think it was called, and then there was one where like all these people are invited to this house and they start dying one by one, and you got to figure out who the killer is.
Clue?
Literally, what Clue is inspired from.
So Clue.
I do love that movie. Have you guys seen
Is that a
Clue?
Halloween movie? Because somebody's getting murdered.
It's so good.
I love. Clue
I saw for the
so
first
much.
time about this time last year. I didn't know Christopher Lloyd
That was
I
not
didn't
Back to the
realize there was
Future.
so much
He was in a
stuff
lot
that
of
Christopher
stuff.
Lloyd was in that
He's
I liked.
amazing. He's in Dennis the Menace, another movie from our
Yeah.
childhood. If you ever saw that,
Yep.
he's the villain in that, and he scared the
Yep.
crap out of me.
Mhm.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
That's right. He's the villain in that.
He was in that,
He does a lot
yeah.
of villain roles. Oh my
The
god!
Addams
You know
Family.
what?
Addams
And it's
Family.
funny.
How have we
I
not
do
talked about
now as an
that?
adult. I will include that in my rotation. With Beth, we'll watch it together. Actually, on Halloween night, we've watched it together the last few nights because it happens to be streaming on Netflix or whatever.
Because they're coming out with the Wednesday show.
Well, now they are. This was before they even thought of that
Oh.
show. They were still. It was just in the catalog. I love I love the Addams Family movies. I think they're genius. I think it's some of the best writing ever. Apparently, the same guy that did at least the first Men in Black movie. Barry
You think-
Sonnenfeld.
really?
Yeah, he's the director. He directed the Addams Family. He then
Okay.
went on to direct Men in Black.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I don't know if he did the sequels. I know he did the first one for sure.
The
I
original
only
Men in
saw the
Black, right?
sequels. I never saw the third one. I've only seen the second one
Nah, I
maybe
haven't seen the
twice.
third one.
Either did I.
And Valkyrie.
And what about
I
the
never
reboot
saw
with
it.
Thor and
I haven't seen that one either.
I mean,
Valkyrie?
I probably
Yeah, I
will
don't know
watch
the-
it one day. Beth
I
loves
didn't see it either.
Chris Hemsworth, so I mean, she'll watch anything he's in. So
What about Edward Scissorhands?
See, that's a
Edward
Christmas movie to me.
I can't say. Is that a Christmas movie?
it takes place
Yeah,
at
'cause-
Christmas.
Yeah, all right. That's a Christmas
So that's
movie.
as Christmas as Die Hard is. I mean, if you're going to argue that Die Hard's a Christmas movie, then Edward Scissorhands is Christmas.
That's fair.
What about
That's
okay? As far as horror, what about Gremlins?
Mm.
Would you feel weird watching it at Halloween because it takes place at Christmas, or can you get over that fact and say, "Oh, it's kind of a scary"? I mean, it's not super
It's a Christmas
scary.
horror movie.
Okay, so you couldn't watch it at Halloween as just a horror movie because the Christmas part would bleed into it and get in the way.
Right, like Krampus.
But you'll watch Nightmare Before Christmas, which also takes place at Christmas.
Yeah, but it starts with Halloween.
Okay, all right,
And it's about the town of Halloween.
okay, that's fair. Yes, where pumpkins
It's
scream
great.
in the
You
dead
could
of
say
night.
This is Halloween.
It does.
Doesn't
No, it does.
E.T. take place during Halloween
'cause they dress
or
up as
holiday?
costumes.
They do.
and
They go
then
trick or treating,
that's- yeah.
and that's where Yoda shows up. And I mean, I guess
Yeah.
it is, but it's
So
not.
that's
like
a Halloween movie.
I mean, it's a plot point too. Man, I never. I was
That's why we do this podcast.
of all the movies, I never thought that would come up in discussion as a Halloween movie. But
Neither
it's
did I.
okay. Yeah.
All right, how about I can give you that's a Halloween
Oh,
gift.
because it takes
Yep.
place at
Arkham
Halloween.
Knight.
It does
Batman
take place
Arkham
on
Knight?
Halloween.
Take place on
Yeah,
Halloween.
I can see that.
Yeah. And the fear toxin and all
Yeah.
that and massive hallucinations
And you're a guy dressed up in a costume.
shenanigans. Yeah. He's not wearing a costume. Everybody else is wearing a costume. That's who he really is. Now, did he say hockey pants
Pads.
or
He says
hockey
pads, but he says it in his
Pads.
bad
I
Christian
thought it
Bale
was-
voice.
pads.
I'm not wearing hockey pads. Yeah, he does that.
It sounds like
He's
pants.
got the Christian Bale lisp thing going on that he does when he gets an American accent.
So
No.
it's just anything that's
Well, and that's the
scary
thing.
could
It doesn't have to take
potentially
place at
be a
Halloween. But
movie.
if it's taking place specifically during another holiday, in this case,
Yeah.
Christmas, obviously, does that derail from the fact that I mean, here's the thing. You can enjoy movies any time of the year. I'm not going to judge somebody. But to get in the Halloween spirit, are you going to go watch Black Christmas, right? Do y'all know that movie? It's like the first ever slasher movie, even before
yeah.
Halloween.
I don't know what that is.
No, not really. But I get what you're saying. I get your point.
You couldn't.
But that's kind of. I mean, maybe it's a Christmas slasher movie.
It is. So, like,
Sure.
could you watch it at Christmas time?
I
Or
think
not at Christmas time,
fans
at
of,
Halloween time.
Horror would definitely like break these up into like Christmas and
Okay.
summer and Halloween and
I mean, that could be a theme in and of itself if you're trying to set something up to like say, okay, I'm only going to watch these movies this month, and then you just go through like and pick holiday
Yeah.
movies that are scary, you know? I feel like
be
that could be a fun theme. Yeah. Oh, well, there
Well,
you
I
go.
do have a stack of movies that I was going to watch for Halloween. I got Ghostbusters Afterlife
Clue. Good one. Yeah.
and Ghostbusters.
Clue. There you go. Excellent
And
choice.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
No, I was kidding. Clue.
Okay. That's
That
now,
was a
there's
two-pack.
two of them. You can watch both of them.
Adam's Family.
And there's E.T. Okay, so you had this planned. Look at you.
Look at
No?
that. Look at that. No, I really didn't. It's just remember
That's
my
true.
my
Okay.
setup is right
All right,
next
I like
to my
that.
DVD
All right, these are
stand,
good
so-
choices, and these will give me ideas for
There we go.
future movie watchings. I think the kids have never seen E.T., but I feel like they'd probably like E.T.
E.T.
They might get a little
scared me. When
scared.
He's running through the field screaming. That scared me as a kid.
Yeah. Well, you know what scared? So as a kid, that scared me as a kid too. But the other scene is at the end there when he's like pasty white in the hospital and they're trying to bring him back to life.
That was traumatizing.
That was pretty
for sure.
traumatized. No, okay, yeah. We're working through this out loud.
okay.
I'm probably not gonna show it to my kids. Yeah, no. But maybe when they're a little bit older and they can handle that type of thing because they cried at Spider-Man
E.T. is out.
for some reason. So the animated one. They
Which Spider-Man?
My oldest.
No, the
No, it was a movie.
yeah.
Sorry, Into the Spider-Verse.
Show movie that
So
covers a lot
he
of
cried
ground.
because Spider-Man
Oh,
almost
okay.
died a few times, and so he held it in until the very end, and the credits are rolling, and I said, "What'd you think, bud?" And he started crying, and he started screaming, and I'm like, "Well, that was a
But
mistake."
didn't Spider-Man actually die in the first scene of that movie?
He did, and that might have been what
Maybe
was
did-
he was
did
holding
that
on to for the
trigger
rest
it?
of the movie.
You know,
Maybe, I don't know.
Up.
Oh,
When have you guys
as an
cried in a
adult,
movie?
I didn't
as an
cry during
adult.
Up.
Listen,
As an adult,
That's-
see, maybe not cry,
if
but
you didn't
got that
cry
tear.
in the first 15 minutes of Up, you have no soul.
It's a great
My
movie.
dad looks like the guy from Up.
I never saw Up.
No, he does.
He does.
He does.
He really does.
As an adult, that movie, I'm trying to think what else I've actually like Beth will cry at everything. So usually if I'm about to cry and I see her crying, I go into like douchebag mode. I'm like, what are you crying for? Come on. You know, like no, I don't
Or do
hide
you
it.
do,
Like,
like,
if
the
I'm legit
stretch to,
emotional,
like,
like,
block
I'm
your
not
eyes?
ashamed to cry. I'm just trying to think of a movie that's moved me that much. I don't know. Like there's been shows. I know certain TV shows have made me emotional, but even then I'm trying to think of a specific example and nothing's coming to mind. But as a kid, there's a couple of movies that as a kid I remember crying
Same.
during. One of them was so random. You may not have even heard of this movie. It was with John Travolta and it was called Phenomenon.
Yes.
Do you remember
the one
that
where
movie?
he plays is that the one where he's the angel?
No, that's Michael, and that almost
Oh.
made me cry.
That's the
No.
one where he's a psychic.
Well, yeah. So basically, he starts developing these telekinetic abilities, and you're like, "What's going on with this guy?" You know, he's just such a nice guy, and all of a sudden, he's doing weird stuff, and people are getting weirded out by him. And you learn that he's got a brain tumor in his head that's actually stimulating brain growth, which supposedly is making him psychic, or not psychic, but telekinetic. And so he's slowly dying from this brain tumor that's making him smarter and more powerful. And he's like, you know what? No, like they're like talking about wanting to like open up his brain and explore. He's like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna ride out my last days. And he just dies in his bed with his girlfriend, like just watching him die. And I'm like, this is so like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm probably,
Oh,
I don't know
jeez.
if I'm 10. that's as old as I was watching this with my parents, by the way.
It sounds wow. It sounds similar to
I love that
Sandler
movie. I never
Click.
cried.
That made
Another
me
one I
cry.
cried at was Simon Birch. Did you ever anyone seen that movie? That was a
Yes,
weird.
Yeah.
You okay? So Vorbeck, you know what I'm talking about.
No.
Have you heard of this one, Lou? It's about these two kids growing up and
No.
one of the boys is played by the kid from Jurassic Park, Joseph Mazzello. He's the kid Tim from the first Jurassic
The
Park
one that gets
movie.
electrocuted.
Yes, and stuck under the car and almost eaten and basically just traumatized for 2
Kid
hours.
survived hell.
I'm saying, man, well, he lived. So yeah,
What a way to go,
he
though.
got CPR'd back to life. Anyway,
did?
he's the boy, little boy. So he's in
I don't
it,
remember
and
the
then he's got his
characters'
little buddy
names.
Simon, who is he's played by a kid with actual like special needs, like he's I think it's dwarfism, and he's got a lot of physical impairments, and so
'Cause he has,
basically.
like, cerebral palsy and dwarfism or something.
No, it's not
like that.
palsy. It's because he
Is
can
it
walk. No, it's. I mean, whatever it is, it's bad. But like, he's still like got his wits about him. He's a smart, funny little kid. But he's got like abusive parents and stuff. And so he for the whole movie, because it takes place. It's like one of those that like the adult version of the kid's played by Jim Carrey as the narrator, but like in a dramatic role, not like in a funny role. And like he flashes back to his childhood of like the 60s, right? It's one of those types of period piece type of coming of age movies. And so anyway, long story short, they go through all these adventures together, and then at the end there's a bus crash, and the bus goes into the river or into the lake or whatever. And so like Simon, the little guy, actually rescues a bunch of kids. It was like a church bus, and he rescues all these kids out of the bus and brings them ashore, but then he dies of hypothermia and like 20 minutes later or whatever, and you just see him die on his pillow, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy he's so cute, and he's his best friend, and he's gone now. So anyway, that one made me cry. I can't think of any that have really, like I said, I know I've gotten emotional during movies, but I can't think of any that have made me cry since.
How about the never-ending story?
I did not cry during Ghostbusters Afterlife, but it was emotional.
Made me cry.
Yes, and Vorbeck, what were you saying? You had a
Just
movie?
when Egon
The
came out.
never-ending story.
Yeah.
I didn't cry during that.
When the horse.
Traumatized. I didn't cry. I screamed.
Nah.
When a horse goes into the quicksand, yeah, that's gonna freak me
sad.
out.
It's still sad.
No, it is sad, but I didn't cry. So anyway, all right. So I think we've covered pretty much the gamut of Halloween, except for like the penultimate thing that everyone associates with it, at least for your childhood, which is really what this podcast is about: is reliving our childhood from the 90s and early 2000s. So that being said, before we get to the lists, is there much we can say about our trick-or-treating experiences without going into spoiling what you guys have put together for your lists?
Did you guys do any pranks on anybody?
I didn't. I knew my dad would have kicked my ass if I did pranks, so I didn't dare.
Yeah, mine too. I think the
No.
most I did was toilet paper, but that was like at a friend's house. Kinda
No,
like,
and it was so we had
did
it was
that,
the
and I'll
night
be over tomorrow
before.
to
They
clean
called
it
it Cabbage Night. Is that a thing everywhere, or was that just upstate New York?
I think that's just upstate.
So they called it Cabbage Night, and it was done on October 30th, and people would go around toilet papering, shaving cream the windows and stuff like that. And I do remember on Halloween, I got somebody like shoved shaving cream in my face, and like I was wearing the face
burns.
paint too. It was the year that I dressed
That
as the
stings.
Crow, and so it like mixed with the paint and just got in my eye. It was very unpleasant.
I have a question
Um,
for Vorbeck, and I've never asked him this. I don't know if this is an urban myth in Long Island or Metro New York, but I remember in not high school, because it wasn't trick-or-treating in high school. In middle school, there was like this rumor and innuendo or urban legend that if you get asked what time it is on Halloween, let's see if you know it. I see a blank
There's
stare,
a lot
so
of
no.
drinking in college. You're gonna have to give me more than that.
No, it's not. So the urban myth was if you get asked what time it is, because this is before you had cell
Right.
phones, so you actually had to,
Watch, yeah.
look at your wrist and take out your wrist out. Don't answer it because the Bloods and the Crips will slash you
Oh,
because they need to get a certain amount of blood that night to get. I don't know if that was just an urban legend of being in Metro New York, if it was real.
That was
I don't know.
absolute nonsense. Because listen, we
That's
grew
what I
up in
thought. It was an urban
suburban
legend.
Long Island. That was just people trying to scare you. And the Bloods.
Those are the same people
Yeah,
that tell
didn't
you that
really
you got
exist.
razor blades sticking out of your Reese's peanut butter cups, probably.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So
But there were things like they would put razor blades in the bad neighborhoods in Long Island, put razor blades in the apples and throw the apples against the wall and boom. But not where we live.
And I'm sure maybe the Bloods and the Crips were a little bit more relevant in some other neighborhoods in Long Island. Even then, back in the 90s, that's hard to believe. Maybe Brooklyn, the Bronx, Staten Island,
Queens.
Hey, not even Queens, maybe, but
I don't think Queens.
Even then, I don't think that was terrible. But I do remember that urban legend.
So I think it's safe to say that we all three grew up in pretty cushy Halloween lifestyles as far as safe neighborhoods and everything like that. There's one other thing I did forget to cover, and I would kick myself afterwards because we're not going to do this again for at least another year. Haunted houses, and more specifically, Lou, this may be more for you because we both, we lived upstate together, but Fright Fest at the Six Flags Great Escape. So did either, because Vorbeck, I know you were close to a Six Flags down in New Jersey. Did you ever go to a Fright Fest?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Did you dress up for that or no?
No, because I wanted to go on the roller coasters and stuff like that. And,
you can't wear a costume on the coasters. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you can. I just didn't want to because I didn't.
But then they always had the big haunted house. That was the big attraction, right? That you would always. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on those? I mean, yay or nay? Did you enjoy them?
They're great until they're clowns. And then that's a big nope factor for Dan. I don't like clowns.
Yeah,
not a big fan of clowns. So when they did clowns, I didn't go.
That's fair. Yeah, I think clowns trigger people for sure. I'm not scared of clowns, but my wife is, and everyone she knows is. Lou, what about you? Again, I think I know the answer because of the jump scare thing, but did you ever go, and what are your thoughts?
I went. I think I only went with
you. Did we
go
together?
And I don't remember anything about that.
I don't know if we did.
I went with one of you guys because there's only a couple people I went to Fright Fest with. But I can answer that a different way. I went to legit living, breathing haunted
house.
And
how do you feel about those?
4 years ago? Well, it wasn't like a haunted house. It was Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Vegas. And I went on October 30th because I'm an idiot.
But we knew
that was very interesting.
But we knew that already.
What was that? Yes. So that is the real deal. So that's where I'm a whack job, where I won't watch somebody get fake stabbed and, the blood packets come out and the fake guts and all that. Oh, but I'll go into Zach's, haunted museum, and the funny thing is, for anybody that watches Ghost Adventures, I know Vorbeck has watched a little bit with me.
It's terrifying sometimes what they find. Terrifying.
It is.
The real stuff is what really terrifies me. When you see some of that stuff.
Yeah, and me and him are the complete opposite. The real stuff bothers him, and the fake stuff bothers me.
Again, even though I'm not a big religious person anymore.
Yeah. So when I went to this, you get brought in with a group of 10, and you get brought in, they ask you questions, who believes, who watches the show, and this and that. And they ask a question, and the woman wins a prize. And the prize is you get to select a person on the line to do something interactive with the museum. Stupid me wearing the Yankee hat goes, I'll pick the guy with the Yankee hat. Okay, great. And she looks at me and she goes, what's Zach's biggest fear? I go, dolls. And I know the answer is dolls. She goes, yes, you win 2 minutes in the doll room. And it's literally a walk-in closet, and it's just all dolls. Haunted. Either they're haunted or they're from a haunted location full of dolls. And it's ominous, red lights and all that crap. And it was great. And then a little midget jumped out at me. So there was the jump scare. So that scared the daylights out of me. But it was a real haunted house because they had Dr. Kevorkian's murder van. They had a Dibnick box. They had the demon house stairs where apparently Zach lost his eyesight from a demon. I do all that crazy stuff. The real stuff, but no, I don't want to go to Fright Fest because I don't like Freddy Krueger jumping out behind a bush.
It's fair.
I've always wanted to go, and then we'll talk trick-or-treating, but I've always wanted to go to the Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studio down in Florida.
That does seem cool.
Well, because every year is they've got a few haunted houses, and there's always really cool themes, and of course it's movie quality effects and stuff, so it's really cool.
I did do that.
So you've done that. I've never even done that.
I've done that. Well, I did. I kind of did it because I did the Disney not so scary Halloween thing, which is cool. But Universal, I didn't plan on it. I didn't know it was happening. So when I went, it was like the week of. They were doing it for like a full week. So when I went, it was the Ghostbusters theme.
Surprise.
That was like the big to-do. Yes. And they just opened, what's the one with the Harry Potter ride with the dragon?
Gringotts.
Gringotts Bank.
It had just opened up maybe like a month or two before I went. So that was the real reason I went. So that ride was awesome. But when I went, it was the whole Ghostbusters theme. They had Rob Zombie playing there. It was fantastic. It was I absolutely loved it. I would like to do it more in depth, the actual presentation of like whatever it is called that night that they do. But I have done the Disney parade.
They do actually. I've seen. I've never
called.
been, but I've seen. It looks pretty cool.
It's great, and it's the only day of the year. Well, not day, only time of the year that they bring.
That's
out
right,
all the
because they usually don't show them in the park.
Yeah,
I did. I knew that.
That does seem cool.
Yeah,
It's very cool. They do the parade. It's very well done. I would highly suggest it. And Haunted Mansion, that time of the year, fantastic. Absolutely.
Speaking of which, I do have a quick recommendation. You mentioned the Haunted Mansion. I know both of you have Disney Plus. If you haven't watched the Muppets Haunted Mansion special,
it's 100% one
it's
of the
terrific
greatest of all time.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, my kids love that. They've seen that 2 years in a row because it came out last year. So they both love it. I think they forgot they saw it the first time because when we watched it this year, they're like, "What is this?" It's like, "You watched this last year." No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. I sat next to you. We ate pizza like we're doing right now. Like, time flies a lot slower for kids than it does for adults, and that was just a harsh reminder.
Right? Didn't Christmas seem like it felt like when Christmas would roll around?
It's taken forever.
It's been forever. Yeah, now it's just like, I just did this. The decorations is still in the corner.
I didn't take the tree down yet. I just turned
Christmas
it into
again?
It was a 4th of July bush.
Do we have to do this every year?
Yep.
Yeah, basically. So, all right. Well, listen, anything else you guys want to touch on trick-or-treating wise before we get into the tricks and treats?
No, I think we should.
All right. Well, listen, Lou, you're going to have the pleasure of going through your list first because I think we should end on a stinky note. No, I'm just kidding. I just, I feel like, I don't know. It just makes sense. I just feel like
because you feel like it. Just because you feel like
it's my show.
The epitome of Halloween, and it's your show.
No, so we're going to talk about.
So my stuff is not just like number 10 is Snickers, number 9 is Kit Kat, things like that. Okay. It's actually
all right. Well, that's fair. So you've both done this before. We're considering these. This is a twofer guest list portion of this show, and so as usual, we'll just kind of go through them in order. So what you got for number 10?
So number 10 is just the basic stuff. Everybody's getting excited when you get the Snickers, Kit Kats, Milky Ways. So that's the first thing. Is
chocolate bars.
The normal stuff. Yeah. Any kind of candy bar that you would normally get. You're not like, oh, I've never seen this before. Just sometimes what you know is best.
Okay. So that pretty much knocked out most of what I thought your list was going to be in one fell swoop.
No.
So
Same.
I'm legitimately intrigued now. All right. Well, then let's keep things going here. What do you got for number 9?
Variety of candies. So here's this for an example. You can get a Skittles, and they're fruity. Yep. By God, they're fruity. But what if you get like things that are different, like tropical Skittles, or like a Snickers bar with peanut butter in it?
So like a spin-off version of a traditional candy.
Exactly. The variety, different varieties of candies.
So like if you were to get Oreos, I don't know why you get Oreos on Halloween, but if you got Oreos, this would be like if you got like the Oreos.
The peanut butter Oreos.
The peanut butter Oreos,
like
that's a great
Kit Kats
example,
right now, they have a strawberry one, which I don't know if I want to try it, but I saw it in the store.
Do you know, did you know in Japan they have like hundreds of Kit Kat flavors that they sell all the time?
Yep.
Like, that's insane. Like, I was looking at some
wasabi one. It's crazy.
Some of them I would totally try, though. Like, and I know you can buy them. Like, you can order, but they're really expensive to ship over here, obviously. But no, I thought that was crazy. They have so many Kit Kats. That's like a culture thing over there is Kit Kats. That's like anime and wrestling and
Gojira.
And Godzilla and Kit Kats. Like, it's just, it's up
Sounds like
there.
a good night to me. Sign me up.
Yeah, it does. All right, well, that's your number 9. Let's see what you got for number 8.
So number 10 was your basic, I say common, like Snickers, Milky Way, Kit Kats, like we just mentioned. Things that are a little bit more mainstream, but a little bit different. So I got a couple of examples.
Okay.
Because when I would take the bag and I would flip it over, you have the basics. Oh, I got 5 of this. I got 8 of that. I got 15 of those. Oh, I got like 1 Mike and Ike.
Okay.
I got 1 peppermint patty. I got 2 Swedish fish. I got 3 Sour Patch Kids. So there's definitely different tiers.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
There's the basics, and then there's the ones like, oh, I know what a peppermint patty is, but I got 1 of those.
So how did you ration that in? Like, did you eat it first or did you save it for last because you only had 1 of them?
I would save it for like as I'm going through. So like if I got like 5, if I'm going on a binge, of like 5 or 6 pieces of candy, I'll take a couple of the things that I know I have a lot of excess inventory of.
Yeah.
So 2 Milky Ways, 2 Snickers, and 1 peppermint patty.
Okay.
It's like we thought this way when we were kids. Well,
Well, we
I have
did.
5 Snickers and 1 Swedish fish.
I still do that to this day, though.
Christmas is right around the corner. I'm going to get a little more candy. I got to ration them out.
Yes.
You gotta make it last.
Who didn't do that? Come on.
No, I'm
gotta
not.
make it
I'm
last.
saying it's funny. You were learning like inventory control.
Can I tell you
when
this,
were
though?
kids.
So, remember that story I was telling you about the year I did the pillowcase and got so much candy?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I shit you not, it lasted me until Easter.
I believe
I'm
it.
not even kidding
If you got a full pillowcase,
Yeah.
that would last you a long
I'm not
time.
going to tell you what the last thing it was that was in there because I didn't want to eat it because it might be on Vorbeck's list. So I'll hold off on it for now. But remind me
Okay.
after the lists, and I'll tell you what it was. Anyway, all right. So that was your number 8, right?
Yep.
Okay. What do you got for number 7?
Fruit snacks.
Oh, I love fruit snacks.
Oh, I still eat them. They're so
Yeah.
good.
So that's another thing that wouldn't be very common.
Because they're more
But-
expensive. Because like you don't get as many in a box.
Welch's fruit
I-
snacks, right? We're talking.
Yeah,
Okay.
Gushers.
Gushers.
Remember
That's a good one,
Gushers?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be, oh crap, there's more kids coming. What do you got left? Oh, you got Gushers? Come on, bring them to the door.
Oh,
Because if you don't, we're going to be cleaning out eggs. Come on.
I love Gushers. Like Beth will not eat them. Like I'll buy Gushers, like for the kids. I'm putting quotes up. You can't see them.
Yeah, just like he does. Like, I got the Turtles in Time arcade cabinet for the kids.
That's right. Yeah. Or I bought this box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch for the kids, and then I'm like, no, you can't have cereal. It's not a fulfilling breakfast, Carl. No, this is not part of a balanced breakfast. And then like I'll just be after dinner, I'll be chowing down on 2 or 3 bowls of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. No, it's my
That's
dessert.
what he eats before this. That's how he gets all amped up.
Leave me
Can't let it
alone.
go to waste.
No, waste not, want not. We're not made of money. But no, Beth. The point is, Beth does not like Gushers. She's like, I don't trust candy that puts juice in it. I'm like, well, I can understand where you're coming from, but I dig it. Anyway, so fruit snacks, I think is an excellent choice. I do want to give a special shout out to the shark fruit snacks with the tiger shark back in the day.
Oh, yeah. I remember those.
And the white sharks. I don't know what the
Yes.
flavor was, but it was just
Yeah.
heavenly.
Delicious. Maybe
Yeah.
it's pina colada.
Pina colada.
I can't. I can't.
Oh
even
my
say
God.
it. You know what I'm talking
He
about.
can't even.
Pina colada. I'm just going to stick with that.
Sure, whatever.
It's pina
Colada and
Pina
Hippopot.
colada. Damn.
Pina colada. Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay, so let's keep things going then. That was your number 7. Excellent choice. What do we got for number 6?
Sugar. Even more sugar than you could possibly imagine.
Is it Pixie Sticks?
Like
Pixie Sticks.
Oh,
Okay.
Fun Dip.
Oh,
Yep. I would also put Bazooka gum
that was
into this category.
Could you
too.
actually
So-
chew it? Because I always kind of struggled with that part.
After about
I
an
would-
hour of sucking on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was gonna say. You would suck on it for a while, and then
And then you
you'd be
just chew
able
it
to.
down.
Did
Okay.
you guys used to sniff pixie sticks?
No. God, no. You did?
Yeah.
Why?
That was the thing. That was a thing that we used to do. Was used to. Cut
I
the top
heard
of
like
it and-
kids would like joke
and you
about it.
Snort pixie sticks. It's a terrible idea. I
Yes.
got so many nosebleeds and headaches.
Oh, man,
I do not recommend it. But yeah, I used to do that.
It's like taking you back to the 80s, man. It's crazy.
Well, you watch Scarface when you're a kid.
Man,
You're like,
they-
that
I
looks
mean,
fun. What
listen,
do I have? Pixie
they-
sticks.
They call it booger sugar. I get that, but come on. My God. That's messed
We
up.
don't
dude.
endorse anything being.
No, we
shoved
don't-
up
No,
your
I
Please don't
strongly
nose.
do not endorse this.
Please do not sniff any kind of powdered
Put a
anything.
disclaimer out.
Unless you're, a grown adult making your own decisions.
Moving on.
All right. That's the first time I've ever been moved on to the next one. So let's see what you got then. Number that was what, number 6?
Yes.
All right. Halfway mark, number 5.
This is more for when I was older and kind of for now, more so now, I think. It's because everybody's aware of all the allergies that kids have
Yes.
now. More people are conscious of peanut allergies, shellfish allergies, all that good stuff.
All the
Not that you're gonna
shellfish you get at trick or treating. Yeah.
I was going to say, I just meant in general. In general. Like, because if you go to a restaurant, they have it in big, bold letters.
Yes.
Back in our day,
dairy
it was just like, well, it's shrimp, honey. It probably is shellfish. You shouldn't eat it. Well, now we need to put a disclaimer on it just in case. But I digress. Props to the people that don't. Let me rephrase that. Props to the people that continue to serve peanuts as a choice for the Halloween candy.
Okay.
I remember towards the end of my trick-or-treating
regular
days.
peanuts?
No. Peanuts like Snickers or Baby Ruths
Nuts in their
or something
food.
like
Yeah.
that. Yes, they would come out with 2 baskets and say, this basket has peanuts in it.
Okay.
This one does not. So props to those people.
Yes.
Because peanuts in your candy is very important. So just the peanut selection
Okay.
not being like, oh, no, I can't take that risk. No. They're adults or semi-adults or the adults are behind them. If you want peanuts, here's the option. If not, then here's another option.
Well,
So
and
I
again,
thought
it
that
is
was cool.
good because if you're a kid trick or treating and you don't necessarily know any better, but if a grown up that answers the door says these have nuts if you have an allergy, because if you have an allergy as a kid, you're going to know, but you're not necessarily going to know
Yeah.
what candy has it in it. But
Mhm.
props to the parents or whoever answers the door to differentiate there. I do not have a nut allergy, so I love peanuts
Neither do
or
I.
any kind of
Neither
nuts
do I.
in my candy. What is your Vorbeck? We'll start with you. What is your favorite nutty like candy or whatever that has some kind of peanut or nut in it?
Reese's Pieces.
Okay, with
Or,
peanut butter.
Yeah.
or the peanut butter cups.
Yeah.
They're great.
That's fair.
Then Snickers probably.
But what about so not like a nut butter? I was say so. Snickers is more what I was getting at, like ones that actually have the whole. I just feel like I'm saying
whole
nut.
nut.
I'm saying nut a lot right now, but
whole nut.
So if we're talking about whole nut candies,
Yes.
I would say Snickers.
The entire
would definitely
legume.
be up there.
okay.
Almond Joy.
Almond Joy is
ew.
good. I like almond. What do you mean ew? That's,
Oh,
ew.
Dan hates coconut.
almond
hate
Joy is
coconut.
why?
Yeah.
Coconut's
Coconut's-
amazing.
It's gross.
It's,
You know what he
it's
hates the
God's
most?
dandruff. It's
It's
the
not the
best.
taste, it's the texture.
Do you know what he hates the most?
What's that?
Don't do
Mint
this
and
to me.
chocolate.
You hate
we're
mint
gonna lose-
chocolate?
we're gonna lose followers now. and
Holy-
they're all gonna hate me. That's fine.
Damn.
It's
Wow.
the devil's ice cream. You
The
brush
de-
your teeth with mint, and you eat chocolate for pleasure. You put them together. The
Yeah,
devil's ice
it's like you're just playing with fire, Danny boy. You know, if to quote Cobra Kai. No, man. Okay, it's not like it's orange juice and toothpaste. Jesus.
cream. That's disgusting too.
Yeah, it
mint
is, but you're not.
chocolate chip-
Wow. Okay. Sorry. I want you to stay quiet for a couple of these. I don't think you get to speak for a little bit here.
That's fine.
Wow.
I get that reaction a lot. That's
No,
okay.
it's listen, man, and I'm not going to try to ostracize you, you freaking freak. But all right. So okay, that was nuts. That was number 5.
Yes, it was.
Okay, cool. Then we're now in the top echelon of the treats of the Halloween season. What do you have for number 4?
So not counting the person that leaves the whole basket outside.
Okay.
I don't want to be bothered. I'm not at home. That doesn't count because then you can just go and grab whatever you want.
Yeah.
Props to the people that make the pre-made like sample bag. You ever get like the little baggies?
Oh, it was
And
like
they
a
would
little,
twist
yeah, and they
tie
would
them.
put all the different things in them.
There would be like 3 or 4 pieces
Yep.
of candy in them or like a ring or something silly.
Did you guys ever get the popcorn with the candy corn fingers and the plastic glove?
No.
Is that not
No.
ringing a bell? Okay, so
No.
more so at parties we would get those it was like the plastic gloves that like the lunch ladies would wear to handle your food that supposedly protected you from their germs. I still don't trust them. But you'd fill them up with popcorn, but you'd put candy corn in each of the fingers. So like which fingers?
That's cool.
So like Eli, my youngest, the other day at his little preschool fall festival had one of those, and of course the first thing Bet did was throw it out because she's like, "No, I don't know who handled that." But back in the day, that was like, oh my god, or like a popcorn ball. That was another one that I would get
Yeah.
where they would actually like stick it together with like marshmallow. It was like a Rice Krispie treat with popcorn instead of Rice Krispies.
Oh, interesting.
Delicious. And then what about? Sorry, another tangent. But what are your all thoughts on candy apples?
Candy apples?
Or caramel apples? Kind of same category.
Candy or caramel apples, if they're bad, they're bad. If they're great, they're great.
Okay.
As stupid as that sounds.
I'd
Because
pick
if you
caramel
get
apples
something,
any day.
Caramel apples.
yeah, either or for me, but
Yeah.
the best ones I ever had were actually at Coney Island. Dear God.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. There's a whole store right in Coney Islands. by the amusement park, in between the amusement park and the baseball stadium. It's all they sell is candy apples and popcorn,
That
and
sounds
it's
amazing.
fantastic. And then there's some places, if you go and get them from the supermarket and they've been sitting there for a while,
Yeah, gross.
and it's like sticking to your mouth and you can't actually bite down on it,
Yeah, that's fair.
that's not good.
What I'll say is Jericho Cider Mill. So anybody who grows up on Long Island and listens to this will probably know Jericho Cider Mill, and that is
I do.
Oh, they have really good candy and caramel apples.
They should send us samples if they're listening.
Yeah.
They should.
They're not, but that's okay.
So candy apples, I love them, but damn, they're not healthy for you. I tried to convince myself that it's healthy. It's a fruit.
Yeah, but you
So I
got
said
to
to
gnaw
myself,
through
it's
the
a fruit.
caramel to get to it, man.
Yeah, but still, it's a fruit. At
That's
the end of
fair.
the day, I'm eating a fruit.
You know what, though? I'll be honest with you. I have not had a candy or caramel, any of a coated apple in many a year, and I think I'm due.
That's what you should do this weekend.
I'm going to go seek one out, I
Agreed.
think. Yeah,
Let's go
no,
seek.
I'm due. Anyway, so sorry. That was, again, a tangent that was based off of your variety bag. I just wanted to kind of share some other treats.
Yeah, how do we go from a variety bag to a candy apple?
Well, because we started talking about the popcorn and all that stuff and like just
Yeah.
the other treats that we would get that are kind of
All right.
unconventional.
Talking about Coney Island and Jericho Cider Mill.
That's
it's
right,
great.
man. That's what this is all about. All right. We're in the top 3 now here. Let's what do you got for number 3?
I guarantee nobody's gotten this before. But I did have a guy on my streets. When the boys, just the boys, would go up to him, he would take a box of baseball cards.
Okay,
And you got to pick a pack.
That's not what I was thinking you were going to say.
What?
I thought condoms.
What do you-
I thought condoms. And I know Dan was right there with me.
Oh, so
I'm like,
there-
he's going to open
why?
a box of condoms.
Open
and
a
this guy's
box.
going to hand him to us.
Wow.
Just the boys.
Hey, can't be too sure these days. But back in our day, you were sure.
Better safe than sorry.
It was just baseball cards, you sick freak. All right, I'll count
I'm
myself
sitting
down. I'll
here
just
looking
talk
at
to
Dan's
myself.
face. I'm like, he's thinking condoms just like me. I know it. Know it.
I'll just talk to myself. So, what kind were they, Lou? Well, Lou, they were usually
Cherry
like upper
flavored
deck or
condoms.
tops. They're just gonna have their own conversation right now, and it was usually during the home run era, like
Ribbed like a skeleton.
98 or so. Oh my god!
You got the reservoir tips to make it look like ghosts.
You put candy corn in them.
Not what I expected. I honestly expected, like, wow, that's really unique. That's different.
It is, but condoms would have been a little better. But
Yeah.
that's okay.
Whew, okay.
Especially if you give them the little ones, it'd be fun size.
Boy. So then what, king size for the magnums?
There's so many jokes, but we're not going
All
to
right,
go there.
all right.
All right, should we go to number 2? Let's go to number 2. I'll count myself down. Number
All right, well,
2.
before we do,
Thanks,
I do
Lou.
want to. I want to give your number 3 credit where credit is due, and I want to acknowledge
Oh,
it.
now you want to talk about
I do.
it.
No, but what was the best card you ever got?
I have no idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was a waste. Never mind. All right, number 2.
Money. Not pennies.
Okay,
Money.
like actual
There
money.
were that when you would get those, as earlier noted, the pre-made variety bags.
Yeah.
Sometimes there'd be $1 in there.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Not everyone.
Well, I was going to say, how many trick or treaters do you think they would have gotten in a night to be giving out $1 bills per bag?
No, not God, no. They probably put in a couple bucks.
Okay.
Or
Maybe like,
Well,
or what?
Or if you went to the fancy areas of Long Island, like Garden City and Upper Brookville, where I would every once in a while trick or treat, you'd go to some of these houses, and there maybe was like 10 houses on a block, and they give you a goodie bag with $20 in it.
Wow.
Yeah, so $1 here and there is not
Yeah, but how clean?
not unheard of.
Vorbeck, how clean is that money? That's like the
Who cares?
perfect. What's that?
Years.
Who cares?
I know. I'm just saying.
No,
Look,
but 100% they came from mafia houses. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't care.
$10. I mean, you're 10 years old to
$20
get
is
$20.
that's fair.
I'm sure they were marked by the FBI, but when you
That's
spend
probably why I'm going to get rid of them.
when you spend it at Toys R Us, they're like, all right, that's clearly not anybody we need to watch.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, there's a Simpsons episode where Bart gets $20 for the entire episode. It's just like, oh my God, him and Milhouse got $20. Like, shut the doors at the comic book store. You're a kid. You got $20.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of
especially
money.
back then, yeah. I used to get excited about like a $5 bill. Like somebody would give me $5 for doing like a chore or whatever. And this is amazing. Because my allowance back then, not that it was much, but I think I got $3 a week, right? That was my allowance. And let me preface this. I didn't do shit. Like, I didn't actually do chores or anything. My mom cleaned up after me, did all my laundry, cooked for me. So I got $3 for literally existing. It's basically the earliest version of universal basic income in the Kemp household. And
Trendsetters.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, wow. Whew, socialists. Anyway.
Yep.
That's not what this podcast is about.
No,
So-
let's not go there.
No, absolutely not. All right, so that's fantastic, though. Cold hard cash, can't go wrong with that.
I mean, I'm talking I would maybe get $5
That's still awesome.
the
though.
entire day.
I mean,
so if I went out the next day to Blockbuster and got a game to rent
that's
with a stack
There
of
it is.
candy,
And
that was whoa.
and it's whatever you wanted to rent because your parents weren't buying it, so they didn't, as long as it was within, guidelines or whatever. But
yeah. As long as the only game I was never allowed to rent was Mortal Kombat.
That's right. We talked about that
That's
in
it.
the video game episode and then you finally got it as an adult. You asked your mom.
On my 30th birthday, I
And
text my mom. I go, "Can I go get this now?" She's like, "Yeah, I don't care."
You're good. Yeah.
And they're laughing because I know my mom. She's like, "Yeah, fine, I don't care.
Yeah.
You're old enough."
Right?
It's like, why are you even?
You're not
texting
my
me?
problem.
You admit, though, you were slightly worried she would say no, though. Come on.
No,
Just kidding.
I was. She thought it was very funny.
All right.
She thought it was very funny. I reached out to her on my 30th birthday. Can I get this? Yeah, sure. I don't care.
So, all right. Before we get to your number one treat, are there any? Did you bring out any honorable mentions this time?
Well, my honorable mention is going to be my favorites.
Okay.
So, the aforementioned tropical Skittles
Yep.
was mentioned for a reason because I like those. I'm also a fan of Almond Joy and the peanut M&Ms.
Oh
Those are among my
Oh, those are good,
favorites.
yeah.
Okay.
Those are my favorites. So that's a couple of
Yeah.
honorable mentions of things I enjoy.
Okay. Fair enough. Vorbeck, what about you? Honorable mentions for your treats. What would you pick? Like your favorite candy?
Butterfingers.
Oh, I love Butterfingers.
Oh,
Do you remember-
that's nasty?
They're amazing. What are you talking about?
and terrible.
Do you
That's
love-
terrible?
Did
you
you
don't
do you
like
remember?
Butterfingers? That's fine.
Well,
We
you don't
won't
like
judge
you don't like peppermint chocolate. Yeah,
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to judge him as harshly as he judges me.
he's taking
I'm
the
a
high
better
road.
person.
That's fair.
What about
Crazy
peppermint and chocolate?
That's still mint and
It's
chocolate.
the same thing.
Why would you think you would like one over the other, Lou?
Lou, listen to the
One's
listen
green,
to the
one's
name.
green, one's red.
Listen to the name. Peppermint.
But if you get mint chocolate, it's usually green on chocolate, and peppermint chocolate is usually red.
It's still mint.
A peppermint patty is mint and chocolate, Lou.
And
And it's delicious.
also,
I
Three
agree.
Musketeers is my other
Oh.
honorable mention.
Did you know? I do love Three Musketeers. Did you know that? Do you know why they're originally called Three Musketeers?
No.
Because
No, enlighten us.
they originally, I will, I'll be happy to. They originally came in a 3-pack of mini bars, and each one was a different flavor. So you
Oh.
had chocolate and strawberry, and I think it was probably vanilla, so like a Neapolitan. But they were called the
Oh,
Three
really?
Musketeers because there was 3 different flavors. Yeah, so you didn't know. That's funny. So I learned that, and I was like, oh, what happened to the other flavors? I guess chocolate was like the most popular that people would ask for, and so that's the one that stuck around. So that's why it's called the Three Musketeers, though.
Listen to that.
I'm saying,
Look at that.
kind of like how, again, side note, did you know that Twinkies were originally banana flavored?
No.
That was the
Interesting.
original flavor, and then I this is probably totally wrong. So if my history teacher's listening to me, I apologize. I'm pretty sure that the reason they did away with banana was during the war, and they had to come out with like a different flavor because of like rations or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, that
I guess
could
that
be.
they were sending most of the bananas overseas because, potassium and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
And
I don't know if
using
there's
it.
any truth to that or not, and if not, I apologize. Like if anyone's Googling that after this podcast, yes, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Like feel free, make sure you check us out on the Generation S Podcast Facebook page and call me out for being wrong about the banana Twinkies fact. I'm fine with that. I just want you to go to the Facebook page. So, all right, so those are fantastic choices. I would say for me. I still, to this day, my favorite candy bar of all time that I will eat even if I'm not hungry is the Milky Way. Like
Good choice.
it's
Good
I just
choice.
I could eat it because that was like when I would do Little League and we would get like $1 to go spend at the snack shack after the game, right? That was a big thing. I'm sure you guys did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would always get for 60 cents. It was the king size Milky Way bar. And I would eat it
Ooh.
that night, like I'm king size, whatever. Yeah, I'm a king.
King size.
I'm a king, apparently, because that was.
Hello there.
Yeah, that's right. King size. So, that house I'm trick or treating at, the one handing out those Magnum condoms. So,
Yeah.
Hello there.
I mean, baseball cards. Anyway, all right. Well, listen, the suspense, we've built up our own suspense enough, at least on this. Let's just get to it. What do you have for number 1?
My number 1 treat right now in 2022, end of October, the New York Jets have a winning record and they are 5-1.
It's the first time we could say that since.
How's
the
that
90s.
for a treat?
Oh.
The Jets are a top tier team.
Wow.
Until they remember they are the Jets, and then they will start.
Well,
to lose.
that'll kick in what, January, you think?
Nah, probably this week.
Yeah. So this is the one episode where I can be positive and be happy being a Jets fan. That's the number 1 treat.
I'm pretty sure your streak remains then. Every episode you've been on with me, you've mentioned the Jets. Like we actually, so spoiler alert, we recorded an episode that I haven't put out yet. And I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but if I recall, there is a Jets reference in there. Because I think at that point you're like, okay, no, I got to make sure I talk about the New York Jets at least once.
Yep.
So
It's just a running gag because they are a running gag. But you know what's not a running gag? When you knock on a door and they give you a full-size candy bar.
yes.
A real
there it is.
candy bar.
And you know what's even
You can-
better? When that candy bar is wrapped in something ribbed for her pleasure, folks.
Sure.
Trojan
Wow.
XL.
Is that going to be your thing now? You going to find a way to talk about condoms every episode?
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll tell you what, if opportunity arises, I think I might.
Mm.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, listen, this again, folks, this is an XL sized bonus episode of the podcast, meaning we have 2 guest lists this week. We just went through the top 10 treats. Sorry. We're going to take it back and go with Mr. Vorbeck here for the top 10 tricks, which we decided was going to be the crappy stuff you got at trick-or-treating. And it could be edible or inedible, doesn't matter. So do you have your list ready, Dan?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, what do you have for number 10?
So basically, my top 10 list is candy. We're sticking with candy.
So you went edible for all of yours. Lou went very conceptual, and I appreciate that because he explained himself throughout. Whereas is yours? Are you saying yours is more like on a per item list thing here?
Yes, but I do have, now that he did his, I have some honorable mentions.
Oh, perfect.
to
Okay,
add
so-
at the end.
Yeah, we'll get to those. All right, but in this case, number 10.
Good and plenty.
It's fair.
Have you ever had Good and Plenty?
Beth loves them. She loves licorice, so she's
So you took licorice, the worst thing in the world, and then wrapped it in candy coating, which made it worse.
and not any candy coating. Like we're talking the candy coating they put on Advil to make you
Right.
swallow that as a kid.
It's
I had to think about it, and then when you guys described it, I remember it.
It's nasty.
it's terrible.
It was like the purple and white box.
Yeah,
right?
It is. That
Yep.
it is. And it is without doubt one of the worst candies.
So you know that
created.
padding you put on like under your carpet when you're laying down new carpet?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
got all those multicolors. I'm pretty sure they just cut out pieces of carpet padding and wrap it around licorice.
That's tiny pieces of Good and Plenty squished into the padding.
Yes. And it does a great job padding my floor. So
It's horrible.
props
Horrible-
for that.
Horrible candy.
I agree. Thumbs. I guess I would say thumbs down because I agree, but thumbs up because I don't know. I'm conflicted here. A thumbs down in this case means that I agree with your choice.
I get you.
So we'll say thumbs down. Lou, thumbs up or thumbs down for that?
If thumbs down is agreeing that it's bad, then the thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Okay, so we'll stick with that. And I apologize we didn't do this for yours. I feel like your choices were pretty great. It was pretty unanimous thumbs up for everything, at least for me. I don't know about you, Vorbeck.
Up until the condoms, yes.
Up until the condoms. Yeah, that's fair. And that's definitely a hit or miss. Lou's not amused. I see him over there. He's like, just looking.
No, you know why? Because I don't want to freak you out. But if you roll back we're not actually recording the video. Talking about the Halloween episode, there was something flying around you, and it was not a bug because it was around you. It went to your left, went to your right,
Orb
and then boop went up. Yeah, definitely looked like an orb. That's why I got distracted.
or
Interesting.
dust.
Not the listeners can't see it,
Okay.
and there's no way of you reviewing the tape. Dan Kemp looks like he's going to shit himself right now.
Listen. I believe that you think you saw something. You know.
Oh,
There it is.
shut up.
There it is.
Number 9.
All right. What do you got for number 9?
No surprise, following Good and Plenty is black licorice.
I guess, yeah, because you could just sell that. Like,
Just
they have like
straight
the
up,
black
just
Twizzlers.
straight- even if you didn't put candy on it, it's still bad.
Yeah.
Like, just
Isn't there some
straight
kind of
up
health
black
benefits, though?
licorice.
Like, doesn't it have health benefits or something?
There's everything that's terrible apparently does have
Yeah.
health benefits.
Okay.
So is the next item on your list black jelly beans because they're licorice too? Is the whole thing just a hatred of black
That's
licorice?
an Easter candy, though. That's not a Halloween candy.
It's just black licorice kind of as a general thing. Because
Okay.
they used to give you black licorice at Halloween because it's black and it's scrolled up and you can be like, oh, it's monster guts or whatever. And, you know.
All right. I'm
right.
sensing
So,
a
well,
hatred for
I'll-
black licorice.
I'll give a thumbs down there because I'm not a huge fan of black licorice. What about you, Lou?
As a Halloween thing or in general?
In
No,
general,
do you-
like, will
do you
you
like
eat
black
black
licorice?
licorice? Yeah.
Not really. I give it a thumbs down. The
Thumbs
only
down,
time I
yeah,
eat it
right.
is the jelly beans if I grab them.
See,
And
but
that's
they
if-
taste somewhat good.
Yeah, because you
Well,
can
'cause they
mix it
have
with
a lot
everything
of
else.
sugar. You know, like that is like a good candy coating versus the opposite, which is carpet padding, which is the Good and Plenty.
Right.
So yeah, no, there's definitely a difference there. All right, that was your number 9. Let's keep going. What do you got for number 8?
So number 8, I might get some backlash on, but Tootsie Rolls.
See, I love Tootsie Rolls. Those would have been in my top 10. Love Tootsie Rolls. Actually,
And
you
more
know, it's so
specifically,
funny.
Tootsie Pops.
Oh, I love Tootsie Pops too.
No.
Oh.
So you know,
No,
it's
I don't
funny.
know what chocolate they use for them, but every time I ate one, I gagged, spit it out.
Listen, it says right on the box, made with real chocolate, Dan. So
No,
that's
it's not.
all
It's
you
not made
need to
with real
know.
chocolate.
You know, it's funny. Before we started recording this, actually, I was talking to Beth about how we're doing this like top 10 candy and top 10 worst candy, and she goes, "Oh, Tootsie Rolls." I'm like, "Yeah,
There you
they're
go.
like the top 10 best, right?" She goes, "No, they're the worst." I'm
There you
like, "Oh."
At least
So-
your wife has good sense.
Well, and I think I may have traumatized her about 10 years ago when we first started dating. I made her, actually, it was for her mom. I made her a birthday cake, but it was a litter box cake. Have you ever seen those? So I bought a clean litter pan.
And you
And-
use Tootsie Rolls in it.
Well, hold on. Let me.
Okay,
let me
I'm
this
sorry,
is-
I'm
let
rushing
me,
the story.
let me paint you a picture here. So I filled it with. It was just like a vanilla cake pudding on the bottom, right? I just mixed up like crumbled up cake with pudding, and I layered it. And on the top, I did crushed up golden Oreos in a blender, and I sprinkled those on. It was coarse ground, so it was, you saw the chunks of the. And so I laid it on the top, and then I microwaved Tootsie Rolls. And then I took them out, and they were soft at that point. So I was able to shape them and form them into veritable logs, and laid them throughout, and then also on the top. And then I think in the corner, I squirted some vanilla pudding with a little bit of green food coloring dripped on top, because you never know what that could have been. I have a video of it somewhere. I'll have to show it to you guys. But I have a. I think there's a picture of Beth trying to eat it, and she can't. So I don't know if she didn't like Tootsie Rolls before then, but she sure as hell doesn't like them now. And so I don't know if I'm to blame for that or not. I'll have to ask her after we finish up here.
Tootsie Rolls on Halloween are not good because when I would undo the bag,
Yeah.
anything that was open, gone. Like that could be opened.
Did they come open easily for you?
Well, they just had the little twist.
wrapping.
I guess. I don't remember them.
that could be opened and then sealed again. Like
like your parents wouldn't allow it, or
toss
okay.
it's gone. So that
Yeah, I
that
don't
would be
think
gone.
my parents cared that much.
Yeah, I guess not.
I think they just either trusted me or what,
took
I
it
don't
for
know.
themselves.
But
But
I mean, they might have. That was
does this also include the flavored Tootsie Rolls? Not the
I was
chocolate
going to ask you
ones.
about that, like the fruity tooty, like the vanilla and the orange and the lemon. And,
I'm just going to speak to classic
Chocolate.
regular Tootsie
Okay.
Rolls.
okay,
Because honestly, since I don't like those, I haven't tried the others,
okay.
and I can't speak to whether or not I would like them.
All
All
right,
right.
so
And
well,
usually on Halloween, all I got were the basics anyway.
so Tootsie Rolls on Halloween, I gotta give a thumbs down.
Okay. And I'm going to give a thumbs up regardless because my parents let me keep them and I'll eat them year round because they're amazing.
But
For me.
Fair enough.
the Tootsie Pops, I give a thumbs up for.
Yes. Well, those were just as easily unwrappable, Lou.
It's a hole in your theory.
So how'd you get away with those?
Because they were. Oh.
It was a confusing time in the 90s.
It's because your
A lot of-
parents.
You know what?
With a lot
It's
of
probably
dental
because they couldn't put
standards.
something in it. They probably couldn't because they couldn't put anything in
Because
it.
of the hard candy
Yeah,
shell.
That's fair. All right. Yeah, that's true. Whereas like a Tootsie Roll, they could have shoved a pill of some kind in and just
they
reshaped it
could
or
have if you think about it.
No one's giving away free drugs to kids, Lou. I feel like we've learned that by now. Come on. They're not going to
No.
blow their stash and a bunch of punks around the corner trick-or-treating.
They got to pay.
Yeah, come on now. Jeez. And if you're getting 20s at those 10 houses, man, you definitely can afford it. So, come on. Anyway, all right. So we actually disagree there. First disagreement of the list so far. That's okay. There probably is going to be more. Dan, what do you have for number 7?
Number 7, and this is a rare candy, but I used to get it when I trick-or-treated in Queens with my uncle and or my grandparents. Mary Jane's.
My dad loved those.
Were those in the black and the orange wax paper wrappers?
Yes.
It was peanut butter, right?
Peanut butter taffy.
I do remember those. I like those.
I love peanut butter, and taffy's not bad either. But when you put those two together, it did not taste good.
It's like you love chocolate
it didn't work.
And you love mint,
right?
But then you put them together, and that's just a recipe for disaster as far as you're concerned. Okay,
exactly. You're starting to pick up on my vibe.
I am, yeah. So, Lou, what about you? Do you remember these candies, the Mary Janes?
I do. My dad liked them. I did not like them. That and Cowtails. I don't know if that's on the list.
I love Cowtails.
I never heard of a cowtail.
Dude, they're great. You've probably seen them. So they're like caramel with like the Oreo cream filling in the middle.
Oh, yes.
They're called Cowtails.
Yep.
I think the Getz Candy Company makes them or whatever. I love those. I will go ham on a bag of those.
I give both those things a thumbs down. A thumbs down. That's Rocky Balboa.
Thumbs
yeah.
down.
He broke my thumbs.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and give Mary Jane's and Cowtails, which were not part of it, but I'm going to give them both a thumbs up. So another disagreement there. Wow. Okay. I guess
it's going to be a controversial list.
You can tell I'm not picky when it comes to candy, though.
No.
So I'll pretty much eat anything that's not black licorice. All right. That was number 7. That brings us to number 6.
So this one is another one that might get some backlash, but I don't think so. Smarties.
Ugh,
no. Those suck.
They taste like chalk, right?
Yeah.
They're the worst.
They're terrible.
Yeah. Gross. All right, good. I'm glad we didn't disagree on that because I might not have been able to talk to you guys.
My kids love Smarties, and I try to tell them that like their future is at stake if they keep eating them. But I mean, I don't know. I can't stand them. Now
it's drywall flavored candy.
At the risk of it being on your list, and I hope it's there. You go.
Building a house between the licorice flooring and the.
So basically, like whatever the opposite of a gingerbread house is, we're building.
Right.
Yeah, that's what's Halloween. That's what it should be. So at the risk of hopefully not spoiling one on your list because I actually love them. What are y'all's thoughts on sweet tarts?
Is that on your list?
Sweet tarts are not on my list.
They're not. Okay.
They're okay.
No, because sweet tarts are okay.
They're okay.
Okay,
like Pixies.
So these are candies that like I wouldn't even go near. But sweet tarts,
sweet tarts, you're good because there is a difference. So my mom, for the longest time, said they're the same thing, and you just get more with Smarties. I said, "Mom, you're full of it," because that's not even true. I don't think she ever tried either of them, to be honest with you.
Because one's drywall and one's an okay candy.
Yeah, I mean, that in and of itself is a difference. One is a hot circle of garbage, and the other one is delicious.
There it is.
So anyway, all right, no. So yeah, we all agree. Thumbs down for Smarties there with that was number 7, or is that number 6?
That was
we're getting old.
6.
That was 6. Okay. All right, halfway point then for you on the tricks. What do you got for number 5?
This might be one that nobody remembers, but number 5 are wax Coke bottles.
I remember those.
Remember those?
I do.
I'm not sure how I feel. I remember them. I 100% remember them. But how do I feel about them? I feel like as an adult, I like them more. But as a kid, I would have been pissed if I got those in my Halloween bag.
There you go.
More of the novelty.
That's how
now.
That's kind of how you should feel about them.
Because here's the thing,
like,
you know, it's
okay.
But like here's the thing too. And again, if there's other wax-like products on your list here, I may have to defend those too. Like wax lips, I love wax lips. I'll chew it like gum. I'll chew it like gum though, because it's got flavor to it. And like apparently people used to do that back in the day. They would chew wax, and so I think that was the idea with these Coke bottles. Is you're supposed to chew the whole thing. Like for me, I would just bite the tip off and squeeze nasty Kool-Aid into my mouth. It was like Kool-Aid concentrate.
See, now if you had the condoms, you wouldn't have to do that.
No, that's what I'm saying. You know. I've just been safe.
Yes. You wouldn't get any of that liquid in your mouth.
I'm saying the liquid would have been blocked.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, I think what you're supposed to do is chew the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like with the wax and the juice of it, it's kind of flavoring the wax, so it's like gum.
Yeah.
So now as an adult, I can appreciate that, but as a kid,
like no.
No, thumbs down.
I agree.
So I'm conflicted. So I'm going to do like this. I'm doing like the Hawaiian surfs up. I'm doing pinky up, thumbs down. Pinky up for the fact that I would enjoy it as an adult. Thumbs down as a kid because it would have been disappointing.
I think that's the best answer. And I think it's the correct answer.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to say surfs up then? That'll be our
Yeah,
phrase
surfs up.
for
It'll be your
Surf's up.
midway.
yeah, surfs up. We're like yes and no. Okay, all right, man. That was number 5. So I'm excited for
These
the top,
are really
the
good.
top. These are great. Well, they're bad. That's the whole
Well,
point.
it's a good list.
They're so good, they're bad.
Yeah.
The list is fantastic.
Like
I
the
agree.
Jets.
It's
Normally.
excellent. There it is. All right. So what do you have for number 4?
Number 4, I don't think there's going to be any sort of disagreement here. Necco wafers.
I'm so glad you I was going to spoil that then inadvertently because I was going to group them with Smarties as like the worst candy ever.
Are those like the
No,
little? They look like little mini UFOs. Like they're kind of.
Well, they're just like discs. They look like
Yeah.
candy quarters, like chalk.
Yeah,
quarters,
those are terrible.
rolled up in wax paper.
suck.
They look like vanilla wafers, but they're candy.
They're like Tums,
and they taste like nothing.
they look like Tums.
You know what
They
they?
look
You know
like
what I used to
Tums.
think of when I would get those as kids? Do you remember Duck Hunt? And they would shoot the
Yes.
clay things in the air.
The clay pigeons.
Yes, that's what I used to think of.
Clay
You're,
pigeons.
you're eating clay pigeons.
You know
Oh,
what?
God.
They could be fragments of clay pigeons that
That's-
they shoot
I
their
mean,
skeet
to be honest
and then
with you,
pressed into candy.
that's the rest of the drywall right there.
It is.
That's the
Between
roof.
that and
Really.
That's the
Smarties,
roof. Those are
yeah,
the shingles.
There it is.
We're making a house
roof
that's 3/4 of the way
insulation.
done
Oh,
now.
my God.
Made
Can-
into a
so,
Necco
all right.
wafer.
If we're making this like opposite of a gingerbread house, I mean, should we decide here now what like the walls are going to be like, what the opposite of the gingerbread would be to make this house? Because so far we've got something pretty putrid brewing here, but we haven't really decided on what the actual walls
Toffee.
are going to be. I love toffee. No,
See,
I
so do I. I like that.
Oh my god!
no, it's got to be like a really gross.
That's why I said toffee.
No, toffee's delicious. You're shut up.
Wow, he's hostile tonight.
I'm sorry. Toffee's delicious though.
Toffee
like
is
I
good.
can't. I
Fine,
can't
you
sit
guys
back
come
and
up with
listen.
something then.
Fine,
My
I
house
will.
is going to be made out of toffee.
That's fine, and I'll eat it. That sounded weird. I don't know. Like, what's like a bad tasting cookie? Because I feel like you probably should stick with a baked good here.
Yeah.
What's like? Because I love gingerbread. I know people that actually don't like it though. So that for
Oh.
them, that would be their evil version of the house.
Gingerbread's not bad if it's done right.
Yeah.
But what about vanilla wafers?
Oh, like the kind that come in the rectangles.
Right.
Hate those.
Hate
Yes. Okay.
That's
That feels
probably
like I'm
what it
eating
would be.
flavored styrofoam.
those. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So we're gonna build our evil gingerbread house out of strawberry fake wafers.
Mhm.
That's the worst because it's like
It's an
I don't
attempted
like-
flavor with no flavor.
I don't like fake strawberry and I don't like styrofoam. So when you put them together, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Mhm.
All right.
There you go.
So we come in there with tied it back around to wafers, Necco wafers. That was your number 4, which means we've hit the top 3, or should I say the bottom 3. So in that case, what is your number 3?
So number 3 was conflicting for me.
Okay.
But when I really thought about it, they were pretty terrible. Candy buttons.
Are those the kind that came on the paper?
Yeah, the wax paper.
Yep.
Oh, I remember
Yeah,
those.
You
I never
more-
ate them.
But you ate more paper than you ate candy.
Without even going any further, that's definitely a Surf's Up thing. Like if I got it
Yeah,
now,
It's for me too.
Yeah.
But I remember the taste of the wax paper that they came
Mhm.
on more than I can remember the taste of the candy.
So I'll say this: the only memory I have of that is watching it in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory because he's like peeling off the spool to give out to these ungrateful little shits like at the counter, like that's his thing. I don't remember the taste of them. Like I couldn't tell. It was just I assumed it was just like like when I see them, it reminds me of those fake letters that you could put on a birthday cake.
Yep.
As far as
Yep.
just being sugar,
Yep.
is that really what the?
That's what they are.
I can't even give that a Surf's Up. I got to go thumbs down.
so you're telling
that
me if
doesn't
you
appeal to
came
me.
across that, you wouldn't at least go like now. You'd be like, oh, I remember these, and try like one.
No, I'd say I remember them and I'd move on. Like I
Yep.
I don't see
That's-
the appeal.
I give it.
I've seen them in the stores, and I've been like, oh yeah, nah.
No, I wouldn't
not
buy
even
it,
novel.
but if I came across it,
Well, especially since you're probably paying out the wazoo for what's essentially like maybe a half an ounce of sugar. Like it's so spread out, and, Anyway, all right. So I agree with you on that one. All right, sounds like Lou is on the fence. All right, so that was number 3. That brings us to number 2, or in this case, the deuce.
oh,
hmm So number 2, again, I've been talking to people, and some people love this candy, and other people absolutely hate it. So it might be controversial. Candy corn.
Love candy corn. I knew this was going to hit some list, and I tell you right now, I just finished a bag the other day myself.
Candy corn is candle wax.
But I think you need to clarify these are
It's carnauba
For-
wax, actually. I looked at the ingredients.
for Halloween.
There you go.
Like you're actually going trick or treating and getting this on Halloween.
If I got candy corn in my bag from trick or treating, I would give it 2 thumbs
There
up.
is no way my parents would let me eat just random candy
I throw
corn
it back.
dropped in.
I'd throw it back in the house.
What if it is it because they would eat it, Lou? That could be one that they took
Like
behind.
here's the thing: if candy corn, and I don't know if they made them back in the day, but now you can get little like
mini bags
yeah,
of it. Yeah,
that's fine. I'll eat that.
Okay.
And my parents wouldn't take it away because they really want to eat it. It's just somebody going into their candy dish, pulling out a
Grabbing
bunch
a
and
fistful.
dropping it in your bag. It's like I don't know where
That's
this
fair.
has been. I don't know
That's
if you just picked your ass and now you're touching my candy corn. I don't want to eat it. So to me,
No,
it was like
what
an
I'm talking
automatically
about is-
gone.
what I'm talking about is the actual candy corn.
Oh,
so like you won't eat it regardless of
No.
like if you wouldn't buy a bag for yourself.
No, I mean, if the world ends, I'd melt it down and make candles out of it because I'm sure it works tremendously well as candle wax. But it's a gross candy. It's disgusting.
no.
Disgusting. It's horrible.
It's delicious.
I gotta say, if it's
You can disagree
Yeah.
with me. It's not going to change my
so,
mind.
I think you're. Yeah,
I'm saying
would you
a
give that?
thumbs down if I'm getting it on Halloween. I'm out trick or treating. In general,
Okay.
how many? I have maybe like a quarter of a bag a year.
So that's a surf's up. I
That's
mean,
a
that's
surf.
you would eat it.
Yeah,
You would if you came to my house and I had candy corn,
I would have
sitting
some.
out there, and you would have
yes.
some.
But if I'm
Vorbeck would not.
if I'm 12 years old and I'm going trick or treat, and you're just dumping a bunch of candy corn loose in my bag. It's like, ugh.
When you're a serial
I'd
killer.
rather you give me pennies.
Right?
Seriously.
Yeah, they probably taste better. No, I'm just kidding. I actually like I said, I love candy
I
corn.
was gonna say I like
Um,
sucking on pennies.
I thought it was
No.
going there too.
No, my penny sucking days are over.
I actually like sucking on pennies though.
No. So I guess this question is more for Lou then, since Vorbeck has made his allegiance very clear on this discussion. But Lou, do you like the pumpkin candy corns too, like that are shaped like the pumpkins, like the fall mix it's called? Or
Yeah,
whatever
I've
it is?
seen those. They're all right.
And then have you ever tried any of the different flavored candy corn?
Just the chocolate ones.
See, I can't do chocolate candy corn. I tried.
I tried it too.
gross.
It's just not. Meh.
I tell you what, though, I did buy. They put out this year for I think it was the first time. Maybe last year it was Nerds candy corn. So they weren't even shaped like candy corn. It was like blobs. It was like giant nerds, but it was the texture of candy corn, but the sourness of a nerd.
Interesting.
It was weird. I felt something when I ate it, and it was probably early diabetes. Yeah, I don't know. It was something.
Diabetes.
It was probably the beatus. But anyway, I do love some flavored candy corns. That was my point there is that I will eat candy corn year round if it's around.
Oh yeah, I won't
So,
do that.
No, I'll eat it all the time.
The only time
2
I would
thumbs up.
eat it after Halloween is if I'm in the store, Target or Walmart, one of those places, and it's like 90% off.
It's on clearance.
And it's like, oh,
yeah.
you can get it back for 10 cents. Like, why not?
Yeah, why not?
So if I can get,
I remember I have a story about candy corn actually. So it was fall because it was for my birthday. I don't remember if you were here for this or not, Lou. So it was my 21st birthday, and my mom wanted to have me over just for cake real quick, and then I think we were going out for the night. It was me and my girlfriend at the time, and I wanted to put I had a green cake, and I wanted to make it a Nickelodeon cake, so I wanted to put melted candy corn on top as like the frosting. So I heated up a whole thing of candy corn in the microwave, and it was liquid. I poured it on top of the cake, and it kind of dripped down the sides. And I was like, I was so excited to eat it. I was like, all right, when this cools down, we're going to have a good time. And when it cooled down, the candy corn hardened, like back to its like solid whatever. So I couldn't cut the cake because the whole top was just solid candy corn. So every time I would try to cut it, I would just smush the cake down, and I basically ruined a perfectly delicious cake.
Because it's wax.
Whatever. It's delicious wax. I don't care. I'm not even going to defend it at this point.
so I'm getting a little concerned. Dan Kemp has talked about condoms and wax and melting it down. I'm seeing a pattern here.
yeah, and you're over here going,
A
well,
sexy pattern.
gee, golly willikers, we got baseball cards, and they were just terrific.
They were. They were. You know,
I'm
it's
sure
all
they
fun
were.
and games till you pull out a rookie card for somebody. I'm trying to think who would be good at 98, 99-ish. I'll get back to you on it.
So you got someone going, I got Lou, I got scented, I got ribbed, I got Jeter. I mean, like, how do you have that comparison with your friends? And I'm not saying, I guess I shouldn't insinuate that your friends got rubbers while you got baseball cards, because that probably would have been really weird now that I think about it. But anyway.
That would have been disturbing.
Yeah, 12 years
Oh, man.
old. Yeah, you're walking home with, I got a Snickers bar. I got Derek Jeter. I got a rubber.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like we're beating a dead horse at this point. Okay, so before we get to number one,
Don't call the town
Warbeck-
whore that. Just because she's giving out condoms.
Oh, fair. I feel so. You mentioned Vorbeck that you have some honorable mentions for this list here. Would you like to share those with us?
Right. So, off the topic of candy, if you got other things, such as pennies, I think every kid who got pennies just flung them
what about
back at the
like
house.
dental floss, toothbrushes?
I was going to say there was a house on the block that used to give when you go to the dentist, they give you like a little goodie bag. It's filled with a thing of floss and a toothbrush.
Yeah.
You used to get that.
Yep.
Yeah,
screw that house.
The one dental hygienist that lives on that block. But the other thing that I got once, just once, was a pamphlet on the Jehovah's Witness.
I was gonna guess Jehovah's Witness before you said it.
Yeah.
How sad is it? Because they don't do Halloween. We knew somebody in
No.
college, Lou, that was a Jehovah's Witness, and he never did any of the holidays.
They hand out pamphlets and says like, "Find Christ, join the Church of whatever" or nonsense. But
That's
pamphlet.
that's the equivalent of like if you worked at a restaurant and somebody left you a tip that looked like $100 bill, and it's just you unfold it and it's like the address to their church, and you're like, screw that guy.
Yeah.
He comes in again. I'm taking a piss in his lemonade.
Please don't spit my
you know?
eggs. Please don't spit my eggs.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm doing more than that to you if you're leaving that. For a
Wow.
tip. Oh man.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but Jehovah's Witness pamphlets.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's worse than candy corn.
They shouldn't have even had their lights on. They did that on purpose.
Yeah, seriously.
That's just misleading.
Stand out front, handing out pamphlets.
That's disappointing.
Watch kids.
Just so disrespectful.
after the word spread, you just watch kids just walk past them, and they're like, "Oh, we have candy." No, you don't.
Tape one candy corn to the inside of the pamphlet.
Oh my God. Or no, like a sugar packet that they got at the diner.
Sweet
or something,
and low.
A sweet and low packet.
they got the sweet and low. That's what they're giving out.
They staple sweet and low packets. to
That's the
pamphlets
mortar.
that they
That's what
hand
we're
out.
using to make the mortar for our opposite gingerbread house is the sweet and
Oh,
low.
yes.
You know?
Yep.
Oh man. Because at least that's not even gonna
Okay,
be
what's
sugar.
a support
All right.
beam made out of then our fake gingerbread?
Support beams? I mean,
Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah.
well, in your house it would be. See, I would eat Tootsie Rolls, so I can't go.
I mean, I probably eat Tootsie
I
Rolls
don't
too.
know. I don't know.
Cowtails.
Yeah. No, I'd eat those too.
Jeez.
Anyway, we'll figure that out later. All right, this has been going. We're like, granted, we're gonna have to cut some of this out, but we're over the 2-hour mark here, so we're gonna go ahead and just. The suspense is killing me here. What do you have for number one?
So I want to preface this is a candy. Circus peanuts.
Circus peanuts.
Not peanuts you get at the circus.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. The
candy
orange ones.
Circus
Don't they
peanuts.
kind of taste like?
Oh, the
like
orange
cereal
ones.
Yeah, don't they taste like cereal marshmallows?
Yeah, they're marshmallows that are supposed to be peanut butter flavored, which sounds good. But in theory, they taste like just goo.
See, I heard I've never actually eaten them. I heard they taste like bananas.
They taste like
Yeah,
nothing.
They taste like
really.
bananas instead. But that's what I'm saying. They taste more like banana than peanut butter, and they taste kind of like air.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing.
There's just
There's
nothing,
nothing there.
and the nothing is bad.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a hit. It's just a swing and a miss, and they've been making them since 1937,
New.
Wow. That's almost 90 years of disappointment.
and they're still selling.
So who's
And how
buying
long
them?
have
They've been
Same
making-
formula. I don't know.
I mean, the same people that are buying candy corn, apparently.
Circus folk.
Yeah.
Circus folk. I've been lucky.
Nomads, you
Small,
know.
small hands smell like cabbage.
Nomads, you know. Lou, that was an Austin Powers reference in case you didn't get that.
I haven't watched Austin Powers in many, many years.
Well,
Too bad. That's okay.
I mean, at least
But
you've
yeah.
seen it.
Yes, I have.
Circus peanuts are just
I think it's a good number one. I think the list was
I
great.
can't give that a thumbs up. Yeah, thumbs
well, that's
down
a
for me
thumbs.
on that
That's
one.
a thumbs down.
Yeah, I think that was a fantastic way to top or bottom the list, depending on how
Bottom
you look
out.
at things in life. Bottom out, yeah, that bottom's up there. Yeah, wow. So I mean, fantastic. Hey, can you guys do me a favor, actually? Because
No.
when I post this on Facebook, I'm gonna put the two lists at the bottom, or maybe in a separate follow-up post afterwards. I'd love to get people's thoughts on if they feel these lists were justified or not. So again, as a reminder, folks, make sure you check us out on Facebook, the Generation S podcast. You'll see that big old S symbol that you see all over the album artwork for these episodes, wherever you get your podcasts currently. And guys, that was Halloween. This is the longest episode that we've done so far in the show's history, which granted is only 13 or 14 episodes. This is our first multi-person discussion. I think we did pretty good.
I think so.
I think we handled it. I mean, I'm not going to really have to edit much down because I feel like the conversation, y'all are very polite. You waited your turn to talk, and myself included, because I was getting excited and eager, and I think we did pretty good because I tell you what, man, it's not easy sometimes to wrangle more than one person on a call, especially if you've been best friends for 15 years like we have.
And there's silence.
We're too polite. Yeah. Start talking. Rabble.
Oh man, no, this was a lot of fun. So I totally think we should. Maybe this is like our group for the holidays that if we put out a Christmas one or whatever, or Thanksgiving even. Maybe we can talk about that for one of these special episodes that come out in the future.
We should definitely do a Thanksgiving and Christmas one.
Yep,
we should.
Awesome.
We should. Holidays.
Yes, absolutely. So guys, once again, thank you so much. And don't forget, this episode, like all of our other full episodes, not only going to be out on your typical podcast directories, those being iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all those fun ones. We're also on YouTube now. So every time I've got it set up, so every time the episode goes live on the podcast directories, it is also getting pushed out as a YouTube video. Now, it's not going to be anything more than just the artwork with the little audio squiggle that goes across every time we talk, so you're not going to get much visually out of it yet. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll start doing more video podcasts like this, because we're actually, we're chatting over video, but we're not recording the video. But who knows? Maybe that'll change in the future if you guys can get better webcams for yourselves.
Mine works now. I'm no longer John Cena.
I just need better lighting.
No, you're right. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so make sure you check us out on YouTube. It's Generation S Podcast. If you can find it, I'll make sure to include a link in the show notes as well as on the Facebook page. So when you get to it, subscribe. And same thing with the podcast itself, guys. Make sure you're subscribing. And if you enjoy listening to stuff like this, if you enjoy listening to guys talk for hours, as it turns out, about what it was like growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, in this case, it was all about Halloween, but we have episodes about more specific topics like video games and certain TV shows and movies. We just did a great episode about music. So really, we're going to try to cover the gamut of what it was like to grow up when we did. And I thought about this too, because when I first launched this podcast, I thought it was just going to be people that grew up when we did, people that were around our age that could enjoy this. But I started thinking, and really it was with this last episode about music that got me thinking about this. There's going to be everyone lived during, if you're listening to this podcast, there's probably a good chance that you did live during the time period that I'm talking about here, the late 90s, the early 2000s. But you could have been older. You could have been an 80s baby or 70s baby, or you could have been younger. You could have been somebody that grew up in the 2010s or whatever it is. And so, this is really kind of a time capsule for you as well to hear what it was like to grow up when we did. Like, if I know that I would probably enjoy listening to somebody talk about what it was like to grow up in like the early 1980s, but I was born in 87, but I still would enjoy that, right? It's so this podcast, it's about what it was like to grow up when we did at the age we did, but it's for anyone who wants to listen to what that experience was like for us.
Growing up in the late 1900s.
There it is. Yeah, my son will be like, "Oh, Dad, you're old." I said, "Well, I mean, I'm older than you." He goes, "No, you're old." I said, "What are you talking about?" He's like, you were born in the 1900s."
There you go.
And so I'm like, "Yeah, I'm old."
It's all right. They're just emotions. They'll heal.
On the outside. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. I would love to do one of these with you guys again. And I know we do have stuff in store for the YouTube channel that will be exclusive to the YouTube channel. So we'll probably do some deep dives on video games, on movies, or I know a big request was like talking more about pro wrestling. So we've got Lou and I especially, we've got some pro wrestling stuff in the books, I believe, as well.
Yeah, we got some, we're going to have our debut episode of the professional view on wrestling and the watch along. I think I can reveal what we're going to do for November. So we're going to do a deep dive into was ECW funded by the WWF, WWE. That's going to be the professional view on it. Some facts that we're able to get gathered, some opinions, but mostly facts that back that up. And then we're going to do a watch along, sticking with the theme of ECW. In November, we're going to watch a few matches, not the whole thing, just a few matches from my first pay-per-view, the November to Remember 1999. The Dawn Marie rating on that is a 10 out of 10 for those keeping track. And so that's going to be the November wrestling podcasts or YouTube videos, whatever you like to call them. Those will be on YouTube. And then me and Dan Vorbeck are going to go ahead and do the video game review for November is going to be Mario Kart 64. So we got some new things coming out to the YouTube channel coming up in November.
Yes. Awesome. All right, guys. That's a wrap. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing this with you guys. So I look forward to doing many more, both together and separately. I know we've got plans to talk about some other cool topics for the main podcast as well. So, guys, happy Halloween. Please be safe. And if you're dressing up this year and you're a grown adult, there's no shame in that. I've got several costumes planned for this year. Well, I've got one costume planned for this year, but I might throw on another one for a Halloween party at the office this week.
Do you know what you should be? Trojan Man.
Awesome.
With a packet of baseball cards.
Yes. I love it. All right, guys. Happy Halloween. Be safe out there. And
Goodbye.
I'll talk to you soon.
Ha 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 ha!